What's up, everybody? Pick Six podcast, live sweat show here in the fourth quarter of the Buccaneers and Saints divisional round game, the final divisional round game. After this, only 3 NFL games left in the season. That's terrifying. Will Brinson, I'm your host. Oh, and Johnny Breech is here as we're watching. Oh, there's a flag on the field. As Rojo, inactive last week, injury. Now has a big gainer, but probably coming back the way that everybody's reacting on here. 20-20, Saints and Buccaneers tied up. This should be a great fourth quarter, Breach.
Brinson, I think you might actually be ahead of me. The last 2 times we've done this, I feel like I was ahead of you.
Really?
Yeah, I saw Jones break out. The flag
is a hold.
The flag icon wasn't on the screen yet, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is a huge play!" And then you're talking about this flag, and I'm like, "Oh, where's the flag?" And then the flag happened.
Yeah, you know, it's weird. Some of these, he's got a busted quad. You can tell you a little, not only if he came out limp, but certainly annoyed by the whole situation as he finished that run. And watch us. We're on Twitch and YouTube. We'll tweet out a link. I guess if you're already watching, you're probably.
Well, and that was 3rd and 1. So now it's what? 3rd and 11? That's a huge play. Or a huge penalty.
Huge play. Imagine throwing that. Oh, never mind. That's, you know, Twitter's algorithm really bugs me. You don't get like the freshest tweets all the time.
I do feel like they should let me and you be in charge of the algorithm.
Woo! Tyler Johnson, baby. That is a tremendous catch.
3rd and 11.
Cow. How did he get out there and reel that in? That is fantastic. Goodness gracious. That is a catch right there.
That's 3rd and 11. If you're the Saints,
you can't give that up.
You force the punt, you get the ball, you drive the whole entire field, you waste 13 minutes of fourth quarter game clock, and you kick the field goal and win.
I don't think that's going to happen.
You know, it's funny, Brinson, because this is the first time any game has been tied in the fourth quarter where we have done this. I think we had a couple 1-score games, maybe. No, maybe not even that.
Yeah. And really the only thing that made last night's sweat fun was me losing all my bets. It's not fun for me, obviously. This game has been a little weird. It's been kind of exciting, but also kind of boring. For a 2020 game between a tie ball game in the fourth quarter between 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. There's been a trick play with Jameis Winston throwing a touchdown pass. There's been a near pick 6 by the Buccaneers, and yet am I crazy? It felt like a little methodical and slow. Like these quarterbacks haven't been that great.
I think the issue is you have Drew Brees, you have Tom Brady. They've both thrown for under 150 yards. That includes Tom Brady throwing a 13-yard pass there. He's still under 150. And then, the Buccaneers haven't really done anything on offense. Both their touchdowns came off turnovers, that 3-yard drive after the interception, that short drive after the Jared Cook fumble. So it's really the Jameis Winston revenge game is what this game is right now, because that has been the only exciting play.
He's got a guy, it's Scotty Miller. Oh, RJ White and Larry Hartstein told you in the pregame show, Scotty Miller, you only need 1 catch. It looks like 2
There's
fouls.
A flag. What's the flag?
New Orleans. There's going to be a late. I don't know what the first one is. I don't know what the flags are. Do y'all sell, D-Mart wants to know, do y'all sell those Pick 6 podcast quarter zips that Breech has? No. There's a Pick 6 podcast store coming at some point, I think. Scotty Miller hits the over 8.5. I don't know exactly I don't think you can buy those. Those are like one-offs for the Super Bowl in Atlanta.
Oh.
Penalty declined.
That came about 3 inches away from being broken up.
Yeah. Big time play. NFL dream, Brady versus Rodgers. Yeah. I think Brady versus Rodgers is there. Breeze versus Rodgers would be big too. Brady versus Rodgers is probably bigger. I can't overstate this enough. That's O+ on YouTube. If you anything you guys want to talk to us about, by the way, during this fourth quarter sweat, after the game, we'll go into the live podcast afterwards. Now Bandian says, I love these betting surprise, which is great for gambling. You got it. Not great gambling day. Thank you, Liam. Loving the glasses. Yeah, I think I might upgrade to some nicer ones if I could win some bets. But
Brinson, I don't think I've ever seen you wear glasses. I've known you for 8 years.
I've never
explained that one.
These aren't real. These are blue glasses.
Those are blue light glasses.
Yeah,
okay.
there's the reflection. Yeah, I don't wear glasses. I got 20/20 perfect vision. So what was that? Oh yeah, like the way this is played out, and the Browns would have been awesome. That was an insane game, crazy ending. Mahomes hurt. Baker's got the ball late, down 4 points with the chance to, or down 5 points, whatever it was, 4 points with a chance to win the game. No, down 5. And but Chiefs, Bills, Packers, and either one of these teams, Saints or Buccaneers, is a dream scenario for both the NFL and our employers at CBS Sports. Oh, Rojo, he's getting loose. Rojo's running well. I don't think he was injured last week. I think they benched him for those tweets.
And you don't think he was injured when he hobbled to the sideline after the play that got called back?
I don't think he was injured. I mean, I think he's banged up. I think he could have played last week.
He was like, it's the playoffs.
How about, did you hear Barstool Dan Katz, Big Cat, got a shout out from Joe Buck?
What? For what?
He said playoff Lenny, and then he was like playoff Damien. And he was like, there you go, Big Cat. Be pretty cool to get a shout out from like the Fox announcers.
I didn't hear it. I watch with the volume on so low. The only thing I hear is my heart beating with my Saints ending my parlay here.
That's right. You did a Bucs parlay, right?
I had the Chiefs
Saints parlay.
Saints parlay, and I was waiting to bet the Bucs, and I had a chance. The money line got plus 260. I didn't do it. I was going to wait it out, and now I'm deciding if I should just cash out the ticket now.
Well, what's the situation?
Situation is the Saints win, then
what do you have? What do you have on it?
If the Saints win,
is it like $5, $10, $100? What do you have?
If the Saints win, I'll win 150. It was a Chiefs Saints parlay.
Got him. It's gross. It's a bit too much. What can you cash out for right now?
I can cash out for 81 right now. Cash out watch 2020.
Wait, you can cash out for 81 right now?
But that's a $50 loss because the bet was.
Yeah. I wouldn't do that.
Well, of course you wouldn't. You lost all your money last night. You want me to lose now? I know, Brinson.
No, I want you to win because I picked the Saints to win. I thought you were saying like you could cash out and take some profit now with the Bucs driving.
Oh yeah, no profit.
By the way, these Buccaneers receivers, man, I mean, doing nothing at all.
This drive we just saw Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson.
Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans has I think one catch for a touchdown. It's the weirdest time.
I will say that Chris Godwin dropped touchdown.
Marshall Lattimore, they've been Brady has no picks. It feels like could have been picked off 3 or 4 times.
Oh my God. So now we have
Lattimore came close. That's like a borderline.
You know the field goal rules. You cannot react to this field goal. This is 36-yarder, I think.
Oh, yeah. It's 4th down now. All right. So 2020, like my vision. 10 minutes and 1 second left. I mean, Gronk, Cameron Brate's the leading receiver with 50 yards.
Oh, man.
Ryan Suckup. He's 2 for 2. Oh,
he's going to hit it.
This isn't the worst thing in the world for you.
Oh, no, this is fine. I'm fine with this. Because then the Saints get the ball. The cash out number actually went up now after this field goal. The thing just told me what happens.
Are you on your phone with FanDuel or on a website?
Phone. Just makes it easier. I can watch.
Man, I wish
pay attention to the game.
I might move to Tennessee.
Tennessee, everyone. I should be the spokesman for all of gambling in Tennessee. What do you think?
Sure. Play Travis maybe ahead of you.
Or
Alan Bell. Our buddy at Sportsline. So the leading receivers, the only 2 receivers who have more than 50 yards in this game. Traquan Smith, 3 catches, 85 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Cameron Brate, 4 catches, 50 yards. That's what I'm saying. Like there's 43 points. The over-under was 52, 51 and a half, maybe, I think, in this game. So, like, Leonard Fournette is the second leading receiver. Emmanuel Sanders is the second leading receiver. Michael Thomas has nothing next to his name. 0 catches on 4 targets. targeted early by Brady in the end zone, and then was just out, and Brady hadn't. Breech, hadn't looked his way since. Alvin Kamara, 16 rushing yards, 79 rushing yards, 16 carries. What'd you think about that first game, Breech? Pretty crazy.
I think it was insane. That was nuts. Like, I actually got nervous watching that game. There's plenty of crazy things happened on both sides, and Andy Reid going for it and letting Chad Henne throw the ball on 4th and inches from midfield is just one of the craziest calls I have seen from a head coach in NFL history. Coaches don't usually get that crazy. You have your backup quarterback. If you don't get it, the Browns get the ball at the 50-yard line, and they are 50 yards away from winning the game. Like, that was just insane.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's really tough. Like, I feel so bad for the Browns because I don't know if they were going to score. Kevin Stefanski kind of, turtled up on that final drive, obviously wasted a timeout. But like to have Chad Henne break off a 14, like to get him to 4th and 1 on a 3rd and 14 run is a pretty tough way to have your season daggered. And then credit to Andy Reid, goes up there. Everybody's thinking they're not going to go for it, and they're going to, try to, get the Browns off sides and then either take the penalty or like snap it. Maybe if they snap it, maybe it with 1 second left, and they snapped early, and that's so smart because the Browns, nobody was ready for it.
They were all waiting for it to get down to 1 second. They thought the Chiefs were going to call a timeout and then go back in the huddle and try and decide what they were going to do. Nope. Chiefs out. I mean, that was brilliant. They outsmarted everyone there.
It really was. Nobody was prepared for it. Yeah, L. Balti says, when the Browns, on our Twitch stream, when the Browns punted late, I knew it was over. It really did feel that way. Although, I mean, I get the argument for not punting is that you're down 5. So if you're punting, again, like the worst case scenario is a field goal. The worst case that you can like the worst thing that you can actually accept, because otherwise you lose. If they score a touchdown, it's over. It doesn't matter. So the worst thing you can have happen is a field goal if you want to try to win the game. So by going for it and you get it, you obviously give yourself a great chance to win the football game. If you go for it and don't get it, you give them a great chance to get a field goal, but they're probably burning a lot less clock because I don't think they're going for those first downs. I think Andy Reid is probably playing for the field goal. And I think that's something that Kevin Stefanski, as a first-year coach, wasn't prepared to deal with, especially as a play caller who had just missed a week. I don't think he was thinking through the process there. And
yeah, I don't know that you can say Andy Reid would have played for the field goal, though, because you would have thought he would have played to keep the clock running after the Browns punted, and he came out and threw the ball on 2 of the first 3 downs with Chad Henne. Like, it was nuts.
I'm glad you got it. I don't really have a bet on this. I don't think I didn't really bet anything on this game. I was so my props all lost their faces in the Browns game. But yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I understand why you punt it. It's 4th and 9. I mean, I think it's like you got to be thinking though, like we're the Browns. We're knocking on the door of the AFC Championship game. We're up against Chad Henne. If we pick up this first, and really the first 3 plays were bad. I mean, the whole second half they weren't letting Baker take shots down the field, which is so surprising to me because he played very well in that game. And I thought they should have opened up the offense a little bit more, been a little bit more aggressive. Challenging the play and losing a timeout was a huge blow. Calling a timeout, I think it was on 2nd down, was a huge blow. You just can't waste those timeouts because that's, you're talking about a minute plus of, play time by the time you run the play, if they do a running play, it gets set, they move the chains, whatever it is, like that's like basic 45 seconds to a minute of play time. And
also don't forget the Stefanski challenge on the Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That challenge was awful. I mean, it was terrible.
And the other thing was there was a challenge earlier in the game.
That is a big 3rd down conversion from Emmanuel Sanders.
Oh my goodness.
Sanders 17. Thomas is 13, right?
I can't believe I'm behind Brinson. I am behind. If you guys are behind Brinson, I'm behind Brinson. I can't take it anymore. This is
you know what it is. It's so these different channels have different speeds.
Let me just tell you how the algorithm works on these live betting apps. The cash out was 91 when it was 3rd and 11. Now it went up to 106 with that one play.
So you put in 130 roughly to win 150.
with Chiefs Saints just straight up.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. That's how. I mean, well, you can look. I mean, well, think about it like this. Let's see. I bring it my live. Let's bring it to. Was William Hill have the live odds?
I
I was just trying to think what the money line is.
need to get the money line a lot lower. The Saints score touchdown here, maybe. The Tampa Bay's was negative 150 right now.
I would go to off. I don't have my live up right now. Oh no!
Uh-oh. Interception.
You might want to cash out. Cash out. Cash out. Cash out. Cash out. Cash out.
Oh no!
That's terrible, Breech.
Oh no!
That's
Oh,
why
no.
the live line up because that had just happened. Devin White is a beast, man.
That's it.
Did you cash out?
No, it locks it. It's way ahead of me.
Okay. Yeah.
They don't let you do those things. Look, you know what's funny though is this is probably Drew Brees' last game of his
Now,
career.
if you were in the stadium, you could have beaten it.
And with Kamara not even looking, that is trouble. And Devin White has had a heck of a game. Buccaneers defense has been on point all game.
I mean, did you see that look that Drew Brees gave? He's like, "Oh, Jameis, great throw!" And then Jameis looks past. He's like, "Don't ever do that again."
Should they just let Jameis play the rest of the game?
Yeah.
All right, so now I can give you guys a cash out update. It went from 106 after the interception is down to 41.
Yeah, you can't cash that out.
I'm riding it now.
Yeah. You have to ride it. I mean, look, they can hold him to a field goal here.
Oh yeah, they absolutely. I'm not worried about it. I won yesterday. It all evens out, right?
What'd you win yesterday? What'd you win on yesterday?
The Packers and Bills.
Oh, that's right.
Told you I was going to do the same thing.
That's right. I forgot about that. Must have been all that bourbon I didn't drink last night. Yeah, my TV is ahead of the NFL stat feed, so that's pretty cool.
So you literally should be live betting, like, oh, is an interception going to happen? Yep, I'll take it.
No, it comes off. It's pretty close. It's off the board by the time it. I was trying to send a tweet out to get this.
Let's see. Yeah, they hold him to a field goal here, but who knows? I think the Bucs are going to score a touchdown and put this away. That's my gut feeling. Brady hasn't had a good game, but he comes through in the clutch. This
is tough. If this is Brady, did you hear that Jay Glazer report was so bizarre?
Vague.
He's like, I guess it's because it's like this is everybody sort of assumes this is Breeze's last season, but Glazer basically said this is it. And Kamara has 81 rush yards. If you told me Kamara had 80, if you told me Kamara had 81 rush yards or went over his rush prop, I would tell you I would have guessed the Saints are winning.
Drew Brees has thrown for 128 yards and 2 interceptions. It's a brutal game. This is one of those games where you say, you know what, it probably is time for me to retire.
Oh, Rojo, punch one in for my fantasy team.
It's a nice tackle.
Yeah.
All right. Should I just cash out at $21?
No.
Why not?
What?
That's what any smart person would do.
What? You're just going to take
$110. I'm putting my phone down. I'm just going to ride it. I'm going to ride it out.
Just ride it out. Get a second to goal. You get 2 stops and then kick a field goal. They might go, and then you're back. You got to go 99.
Scoring a touchdown here. You know what's crazy is that now, if you're the Packers, you get to play a team that beat you 38-10 earlier in the season.
Well, they're on the 1 yard line, Breech. What do you think they'll do?
I think they're Brady QB sneak.
I think that's a good call.
Did he get in?
Yeah,
I think he got in. Did he?
Got in. And that's all.
Oh, no.
Well, the Saints still have 3 timeouts and Jameis Winston, so they're not dead yet. Brady's so good at those sneaks, man. He definitely get in. God, that's a long one to sneak. Let's see.
I bet Brady just called this. Like, guys, I'm sneaking.
Oh!
They need pylon cam. Where's the pylon cam? Get the pylon cam out.
Oh, no, he's laying on top. Oh, man, he's laying on top of somebody else, so he definitely got in.
But his elbow.
They'll review it. Let's see if they let him kick. Taking a hard look at this. I love when the announcer says it. When who's the best at it? It's oh gosh. What game am I thinking of? Oh, it's Herbstreit and Fowler the best at it. They're like, Yeah, they confirmed it. Herbstreit and Fowler will be like, like in that Clemson Ohio State game, they're like, it might be targeting, and then sure enough, it was. That's a big touchdown.
So do you think Breeze goes in the locker room and announces his retirement right then and there? Or do you think he's like, yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with my future. I'm going to take a few days to think about it. I'll let you guys know.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks a little emotional running off the field there. Look at Brady. Brady's way more handsome than both of us, Brinson.
I think that's fair. He wasn't that handsome when he came out of college, though.
Well, when you make $50 million a year, you're married to a supermodel, you stay in shape, and you eat avocado ice cream.
It certainly helps. I'm trying to think. What? Oh, yeah. So Arians met Leftwich. I had some friends text me about Leftwich. Arians met Leftwich in Pittsburgh, I think, right?
Leftwich, Byron Leftwich?
Yeah.
Why? Are you wondering why?
You know how it is. Like, aren't you on text threads where friends will be like, "Here's a
Ask
football
you
question."
weird questions.
Yeah, and you're like, "Well, I don't want to answer this and be wrong." So not like you're out like doing research because but you want to make sure that you can accurately
When Leftwich just chilled out in the QB run and hung out with Big Ben. That was the glory days of the Steelers. I think he didn't play in it, but I think he was on the team when they went to the Super Bowl against the Packers in 2010. He's going to be out for revenge. It's going to be a Byron Leftwich revenge game next week.
Ooh. Wait. Against the Packers?
Yeah, I think he was on that Steelers team, wasn't he?
Yeah. That's right. I guess that is.
In 2010 when the Packers beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was there in Jerry World.
I was not there.
You were not. D Gilmore 78 wants to know. Yeah. Not only do we read the chat, sometimes we write in the chat. I try. I really should have changed. I really should have gone with like Will Brinson or something as my username. For Twitch purposes. When I was playing poker a bunch during the lockdown, like sign up for the app under like, with my username Will Brinson. And they'd be like, "Are you the guy who works at CBS?" Like, yeah. They're like, "You shouldn't have played poker a lot. Shouldn't you be working?" Like ask like fantasy football. I don't know. It's but like I like the incognito RW Brinson creeping around. Bill, I could go as Bill Briscoe. Packers Bucs line. By the way, the Ravens. What am I talking about?
Ravens are out, Brinson. I know you want them to win, and I know you tried to will them to win during our post-game chat by revisionist history that the Ravens played better and actually won the game, but the Bills are playing next week. I don't
think the Ravens played better. I just think if you look at the box score, there was a reasonable. Anyway, we're not going back. We're not revisiting this. Ice Banana says, "I am real. I am real. I am indeed real." So the line on Packers Bucs. I'm going to say, obviously, it's got to be somewhere between 3 and 7, right? Like the Packers aren't going to be less than 3. It's the same thing with the Chiefs and the Bills. The Packers aren't going to be less than 3, and the Bucs aren't going to be. You're not going to give Tom Brady 7 points.
The Chiefs Bills one, I think, is at 3 right now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to point out. That was weird. The Bills were favored for a minute, and then that got hammered on the other side, and it flipped quickly because people realized Mahomes is definitely going to play.
There is a 0% chance Mahomes sits out this game.
I'll say somewhere between 4 and 5.5%
chance that Mahomes misses the game, or the point spread.
The point spread.
The Packers were favored by 3 when they met in the regular season in Tampa Bay.
And Tampa Bay punished them. But Green Bay obviously had a lead in that game early on. Yeah, I'll say it's going to be Packers minus 4.5 because the Packers looked awesome and Tampa has not looked great. You got to catch that, Kamara. Ouch. 5.5. D-Mart 52 says Tampa Bay was plus 1.5 earlier this season. Z George 4.5. Yeah, leave your guesses in Twitch and we'll put them up. Gilmore says Brinson. Oh, I ADD'd your question. Yeah. What was this question? Did y'all
about the point spread between?
Yeah. We talked about that a little bit. I mean, it needs to be.
I mean, if you're Drew Brees,
last game next week against the Packers is.
Well, if you were on the fence about retiring and all of a sudden you just got picked off twice and you're playing a horrible game and you can't throw the ball downfield and the best play of the game from any quarterback came from Jameis Winston, that's a sign it's time to retire. If Jameis Winston, your backup quarterback, is outplaying you.
Do you think Jameis sticks around Tampa or sticks around New Orleans next year? Breeze looks toast. I mean, it's fine.
I do.
I would not. I mean, I would not want. And he could make it through next year too. I don't know that we'd want to see Drew Brees out on the field in 2021 for a full season. Like, I think it could get potentially ugly.
I don't think Drew Brees wants to be on the field for a whole season in 2020. I will be shocked if he plays next year. This has got to be. You can't lose like this. You're not getting embarrassed, but you're not playing well.
Are the 4 quarterbacks left going to be the 4 top MVP candidates?
Yes, except I think Rodgers has that locked up because we saw the.
I'm saying if you were ranking, the people who will most likely get votes, I think it's probably those 4 guys.
Yeah,
Breeze is Christos. That's ball game. Cash out. Can you cash out for anything?
Oh no, it's over. I give up. I have given up. I'm not even gonna get mad. I had a chance. I had a chance to hedge. I didn't take it. I hedged. I was going to hedge. I didn't do it.
You had a chance to hedge?
Yeah, I told you the Bucs got the plus 260.
Oh, you didn't take that?
I didn't hedge.
Oh, you should have taken that, man.
Yeah, of course I should have.
Is that the last throw of Drew Brees' career?
Yes. Well, unless the Saints somehow get the ball back. But you're throwing in the triple coverage. What do you expect there, Drew?
That's tough, man. I feel bad because sometimes I don't I think Breeze is awesome. I love Breeze as a player. Fun as hell to watch. But there's certain things about Breeze that I kind of make you be like, nah. At the same time though, it's he's kind of underrated in the pantheon. Only one Super Bowl, I get it, but people are always trying to throw Aaron Rodgers in the mix as the greatest of all time. I mean, Breeze has a better career than Rodgers. But no MVP votes in the same number of Super Bowls.
Yeah, Brees had, he's had a more prolific career, bigger numbers, I guess, but he's been playing in a.
I think that Brees is closer to Peyton Manning and Tom Brady than people give him credit for.
Yeah, absolutely. But, he has meltdowns like this sometimes in the playoffs. So.
Does he? I don't think he has meltdowns like this. Oh, Jared Cook. That's not on Brees either. That's unfortunate. Man, it's like Brady, the last throw of his Patriots career might be is a pick 6. Breeze's last throw, a pick to the friggin' Buccaneers, outplayed by Jameis Winston. There's first game with 3 picks since week 14 of 2016.
But also he's thrown at least 1 interception in 6 of his past 7 playoff games.
Would you rather go out like this or go out sitting on the bench while Jameis Winston plays?
Well, I don't think Sean Payton would do that to him.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go out throwing 3 interceptions so people are going to remember. And Tom Brady, he's sitting there yeah, bro, I'm playing next year. You're retiring. You're younger than me. I'm sticking around.
Who's a better arm? Rivers has a way better arm than Breeze right now.
Yeah, Rivers. Drew Brees. It seems like every week we would say he can't throw the ball downfield, and then that game where that whole narrative starts, he would have the one game where he throws the ball downfield, and then 3 games where he can't, and then we'd start saying it again, and then 1 game where he can, and just kept going like that all season.
I do appreciate that Drew Brees eventually just gave up and learned to live with that birthmark on his face. It's you know what? 42 surgeries is probably enough. I'm just going to stop trying to have it taken off. Oh, these kids are so cute, man. Balin. Boston, Brinson, Breeze, adorable boys.
Look at them. They are, well, at least one of them is still clapping. That's high spirits. That is good family clapping. Brinson, why didn't you tell me the Bucs got a first down? Why don't you ruin it? Game over. It was 3rd down. At least they had a chance. They used all their timeouts. It's game over.
My buddy Richard is texting. He's like, throw the ball. He is the over, obviously.
I will say though that I put all the money I won on my Packers Bills parlay yesterday on this parlay, so I end up breaking even for the weekend, and that's an empty feeling, you know, where you got the excitement of all the bets, but then you're just back where you started.
I know. That sucks.
It's not
better than being down.
And it's a lot better than being down.
Yeah, a lot better than being down.
That's true. Look at Brinson being the optimist here. I never thought I would see that day. Never in my life.
Yeah, me either. I'm gonna need a big championship week next week. I didn't have a very good week this week because I got the Browns. The Browns covered. I missed both games yesterday. Is that right? Yeah, I had the Rams and the Ravens.
You definitely had the Ravens. I think we all know that.
And had the so I'm gonna go 1-3 this week. Oh, gross. It's not good. Sorry, guys. If you're tailing me. Yeah. Ooh, DB Noko said I hit 3 of 4 first touchdown scorers this weekend. That's how you roll. I hit I hit Devontae big, and then lost. I had Lamar and Dobbins in the other game. I guess it was Devontae, Diggs, Mahomes, RJ White taught me out of Mahomes. That's brutal. And who scored the first one in this game?
Mike Evans.
Oh yeah. All right. So top favorites really, except for Mahomes. Although Evans was like 10-1, I think. That was a good bet. Noko, did you use were you listening to the podcast pregame, or you just pick them on your own? Because I think we definitely said that. I didn't even say Diggs. Oh, you missed Mahomes. Oh, 3 of 4. Okay, all right. So I'm guessing you had in that game, Kelsey, were you hitting the low numbers? I had, oh God, the worst breach. The worst was I had Damian Williams big to score the first touchdown in that Chiefs game. And he got that carry. It looked like he was going to punch it in. And then, oh, there it is. All game.
Another touchdown or another first down?
Another first down.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Can the Saints trade for Deshaun Watson? Arthur Touche asked. That is a great question. And I think the answer to that is yes.
I think the answer to that is no.
Why?
Have you seen their salary cap situation? They would literally have to cut 45 guys on their team to fit Deshaun Watson on their salary cap. So they would have Deshaun Watson and 6 players. They don't have the draft capital to pull off that. I mean, it would be, I would love to see Deshaun Watson in New Orleans with Sean Payton, but some crazy stuff would have to be worked out to make a trade like that happen.
Admittedly, I didn't mean it in the, can they like financially pull it off? I just meant could they be a team that gets aggressive?
Oh yeah. Everybody should. Literally every team in the NFL.
Spot track, or where's over the cap? Spot track's down. Here we go. All right. So the Saints salary cap for 2021. Well, we didn't clear this up. What happens if Breeze retires? His cap hit is 36 point. Is that right for next year? 36.15. If Breeze retires, they don't got any problems.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
They're fine if Breeze retires, right?
No, they still have a cap hit there.
Dead cap of 22.
They're in trouble. Like their salary cap situation, they've just been kicking the can down. They're like, Drew's never going to retire. Let's just keep going, keep adding money to his deal, and now it's going to blow up in their face.
Yeah, I think it's just like they get cut. So like they would still have a 22 point, but if Breeze retires after June 1st, or like they designate him a post June 1st retirement, I guess, or he files his paperwork after June 1st, it would only be $11.15 million in dead cap money. So they would save $25 million in cap space by doing that. That's pretty enormous.
Here's my question that's not related to that. Do you think Bill Belichick is watching this game, and how peed off do you think he is that Brady's going to the NFC Championship game?
Pretty peed off. Hold on. Let's finish this.
Okay, sorry.
Norris Jenkins, you can save $7 million. And if you designate a post-June 1 cut, you can save $10 million. Quan Alexander, you can cut and save $13 million. These contracts are fine. They can do this. Emmanuel Sanders, you can save $6 million. I'm not saying you're going to cut all these dudes. I'm just saying, like, there's guys on here that you can cut if you wanted to go out and get Deshaun Watson. I don't know that. I mean, I don't know that the Texans would do it for Deshaun. Like, are the picks that the Saints could offer good enough where they would do that?
That's the thing.
Because you're looking at what, 25 right now for the Saints? Isn't that
yeah, something around there, but not
around there. You have to assume that next year's pick won't be much better. So you always have to throw in a player. And I'm not sure who the Saints would throw in that would make that work. You're not throwing in Kamara. I mean, you're not throwing in your top guys. I mean, if you could call the Texans and you can say, hey, look, we'll give you 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson right now. This problem is off of your hands. Let's roll. Then I think they would consider it. Is this his estimated cap space for the Saints is negative 99 million?
You go, negative 99 million. How are you pulling off a trade at negative 99 million?
The Saints
you have to find $100 million somewhere, and then you have to add Deshaun Watson's contract. So you're talking about like $120 million that you'd have to add.
That's quite a bit. You could renegotiate with Deshaun Watson. Like you could restructure it, I think. Let's see what his numbers are. What was the other question? Oh, the Belichick thing. Yeah, I mean, this is a dagger for Bill Belichick. The Bucs are going to go to, oh boy, 67.14. No, his cap hit's only 16 million next year. Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not bad at all. So that's possible. That's a landing spot for sure, especially if Breeze retires and the Saints figure out a way. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they figured out a way to give him like cash under the table so he doesn't ask for. I don't know. We'll see what they do. They still have the dead.
Whoa, Brinson. Maybe you should be the general manager for the Saints. Start giving Sean Payton some ideas.
Yeah, and while you're at it, hire Greg Williams and go attack everybody. Oh man, tough look for Drew Brees. Did he already hug Brady? You know, Brady won the game. He's hanging on the field, just taking his sweet time, not storming off. What a surprise.
Classic Brady.
Now the Saints are hiring. The Lions are hiring Dan Campbell. The deal is basically done. Cool moment with Brady and Breeze there. The first time they ever met in the playoffs. It was a great nugget from Breech, and almost certainly the last time they'll ever meet in the playoffs. Probably Drew Brees' final game in New Orleans. What a tough way to go out. A loss to Brady. Your final throw is an interception. He can come back. I mean, I know he's saying he's done. I wouldn't be shocked if he came back.
Jameis Winston threw a 56-yard touchdown pass. Drew Brees would have underthrown that ball by 10 yards.
If you're Drew Brees, can you go out like that? No fans in the Superdome. I mean, like, think about how they celebrate him on these ESPN broadcasts on the Monday Night Football. It's like,
I think you can go out for like that, because what are you going to? You think next year you're going to be better? If anything, he's going to get worse, and you have a less likely chance of being good. And also, you have to deal with the Falcons possibly being competitive. Who knows what Arthur Smith is going to do? This same Buccaneers team that's only going to be better because Brady's going to know the offense better. And then the Panthers are just a total wild card. If I'm Breeze, I am just riding off in the sunset.
Okay. Yeah, we all agree he's done, guys. I mean, he looks toast, but I'm just saying he gets to leave on his terms. That's sort of how this works for him. Would you trade Trevor Lawrence for Deshaun Watson? No. But I'm hesitating because Deshaun Watson is MVP caliber NFL player. But I think if you're Jacksonville, the idea of turning, I mean, like, his best case, Trevor Lawrence. I don't think Trevor Lawrence's best case is Deshaun Watson. I think he has a little more, like, he has more upside than Deshaun, which is insane to say, but I do think he has. I think he has more upside. So I don't think you would do it because you would want to get the younger guy on the rookie wage scale and to build that out and to develop him and to build around him while you have him on that really cheap contract. So I think the answer is no, but that one's kind of tough. And yeah, like, the Texans and Jaguars aren't doing that deal inside the division. Will we get an emergency podcast for the Lions hire? Not now. Like now? No.
They just announced it?
No. When it happens, of course. But like it's just they're just two sides are working out the deal. I feel like when I wear glasses, I feel like I'm much more. I might just start wearing glasses all the time. I feel like I feel Burrow or Watson. Robert Thomas asked. Breech.
I'm taking Joe Burrow. I think the Bengals should absolutely be on the list of teams that do not need to talk to Watson. But I do think probably 24 to 25 teams should be calling the Texans and offering everything. Hey, 2 picks, 3 first-round picks. Just take whatever we have. You can literally just come to our stadium, pick things you want. You can just have anything that's not nailed down. You give us Deshaun, but not the Bengals. The Bengals should not.
So here are the teams that I don't think are not calling, or at least like so the Seahawks are not calling, right?
Yeah, Seahawks aren't calling.
Cardinals are not calling. I mean, you would rather have Deshaun Watson than Kyler Murray, I think, but you're not making that call.
But you don't want him enough that you would trade away 3 first-round picks or even 2.
Well, like then you would just have to turn around and trade Kyler Murray.
Well, and the other thing is with Joe Burrow and Kyler Murray, not only are you still thinking about their upside, but they're still on their rookie deal. So like you have the upside potential and then
the cost, especially as the salary cap goes down. I don't think the Buccaneers are calling. They're in the Final Four. Tom Brady's back next year.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why they would, because you're paying Brady $25 million next year. You don't want to take on Watson's contract and also undermine Brady. How do you think Brady is going to feel? You bring it to Deshaun Watson? What?
You want Brady Quinn on here? I'm not going to text him right now. We'll get him on for one of these. It's only 10 o'clock, but we're not probably not getting him on there for this.
Brady has a newborn at home.
Yeah. The Panthers, Saints, and Falcons should all be calling and finding out what the deal is. The Washington football team should call. The New York Giants are an interesting one. Should the Giants be calling the Texans and would the Texans flip Deshaun Watson for Daniel Jones and 2 first-round picks?
That's interesting because
they probably would.
Texans need a quarterback, so if they can score a quarterback and we
have a high pick this year, so you're like, we'll give you our first-round pick this year, our first-round pick next year, and Daniel Jones for Deshaun Watson,
who is a first-round pick. So that's like getting 3 first-round picks.
Right, exactly. That would be at least an intriguing discussion. The team that nobody's talking about that should actually consider doing it, the Dallas Cowboys. Deshaun's already under contract. Although I guess if you love Dak, you just pay Dak what you want. I don't really think they'll do it. I think they'll just pay Dak.
Yeah, you just pay Dak.
The Eagles can't do it. Eagles can't call because they have Carson. Like they're stuck with Carson Wentz, so that's not going to happen. The Green Bay Packers aren't calling. They have the MVP and a first-round pick in Jordan Love. Although you could make the case that they should call and say, "Hey, look, we'll give you 2 first-round picks as well as Jordan Love for Deshaun Watson." But then I think all the talk about Aaron Rodgers leaving is out the window now because of this season. Like he's going to come back next season, and they just expect him to. Oh, the Chargers are hiring Brandon Staley from the Rams. Wow.
That is fascinating because we thought they were waiting for Brian Dable.
Yeah. Oh, baby. I got to bet on Brian Dable to go. Debo says, you know what? You guys are in for a treat. We're going to do a live emergency podcast on the Chargers hiring Brandon Staley.
Woo, woo.
Okay. Tom Brady's talking real quick. I might switch to switch up my drinks. Oh, I got a little bar over here.
Emergency podcast drink going.
Yep. All right. Let's honestly do a live emergency pod. I can cut that. Oh, I'm reading out Devo's messages. And Tom Brady is just a handsome man. I interviewed Brady, like not really one-on-one, but like had I think one time up in New York, and you're standing there and you're talking to him and you're just floored by his handsomeness. Like you're in awe of his handsomeness. Okay. But we'll finish the rest of the teams later. Let's do a live emergency podcast. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. It is Sunday, January 17th, and this is an emergency Brandon Staley hired by the Los Angeles Chargers podcast. Joining me to break it down in a unique fashion, John Breech, who is currently on a Twitch stream and YouTube stream with me as we're doing an impromptu emergency Chargers hired Brandon Staley podcast. The reports came out from both Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero, I believe, reporting this was the first year Brandon Staley replaced Wade Phillips as defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams had an incredible season. Staley is highly regarded in the coaching community. A lot of people were talking about how impressed folks would be after he gets his first season. And he came up along the Vic Fangio line of coaches. Somebody, it was John Miller, maybe. Somebody DM'd me and was like, hey, break down who these guys are and where they come from, because we don't, not everybody is aware of all their facts. But he comes from the Vic Fangio coaching tree. It's a really good article on Brandon Staley. If you're interested in reading it, from Robert Mays of The Athletic, you can go check that out. He broke, and Staley talks about how he was obsessed with Vic Fangio's schemes and how he studied them nonstop. Less than 10 years ago, he was the defensive coordinator and secondary coach at John Carroll University. And less than 10 years ago, he was a graduate assistant at Tennessee. In fact, he was the defensive coordinator at John Carroll less than 5 years ago. So that's a pretty quick rise. And he got the job from John Carroll. Somehow there's a mutual connection. The coach there, I believe, is friends with Fangio or one of Fangio's coaches. And they did an interview. He gets hired to be Fangio's outside linebackers coach with the Bears in 2017, stays with them to 2018. Fangio leaves, goes to Denver as the head coach. Staley travels in that same role and then was hired this offseason to be the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. So this is one season as a coordinator. As a defensive coordinator, did an incredible job, but it gets a head coaching position with the Los Angeles Chargers. Breech, what's your initial reaction here?
My mind is blown here. Like, I am literally floored by this move. I am in shock. I am surprised. Look, the Rams defense was absolutely phenomenal this year. Number one, gave up the fewest points in the NFL, gave up the fewest yards in the NFL, and their defense was the reason they were good this year. I mean, that is absolutely a fact. And so Brandon Staley did a great job in 2020 with the Rams. But Brinson, you hit the nail on the head. He was at a Division III school 5 years ago. We're talking 2016. He was at John Carroll as a D3 former football player. I appreciate all the former D3 guys. But that is quite the jump to go from assistant coach on a Division III team to position coach in the NFL to coordinator in the NFL to head coach in the NFL in 5 years. Yeah. And so, I mean, the question you have to ask yourself is he going to be in over his head? Because, when you have a defensive background like this, he's probably going to want to be a hands-on defensive guy as the head coach. And you know what? I know this is a lot of people don't necessarily agree that the NFL is going the route where you just hire offensive coaches. But look, the Chargers have Justin Herbert. And this was the one team I thought absolutely should have hired an offensive coach. You have the Jets. You don't know what you're going to do with Sam Darnold. You know what's going on. I'm fine with a defensive hire. If the Falcons had made a defensive hire, I'm fine with that. If Jacksonville had made a defensive hire, I'm fine with that because you're building from the ground up. But with the Chargers, you have Justin Herbert, Brandon Staley, whoever he brings in for offensive coordinator. If they do a good job with Justin Herbert, they're going to be gone in 2 years because they're going to have a head coaching job of their own. And then Herbert and Staley going to start back at square one. So, Staley did a great job. So in that sense, I like the hire, but I don't know if I like the hire, if that makes sense.
By the way, worth noting, and shout out to Pierce in the chat. Tom Telesco, the Chargers GM. Do you know where he went to college?
John Carroll.
John Carroll University. That's right. He was there in 94, I think, and actually played wide receiver for John Carroll.
Well, and so what that means real quick, Brinson, is that the top two candidates were the same, a guy that had a college in common with Tom Telesco, and Brian Dable and Tom Telesco went to the same high school. So apparently
they were roommates, I think.
Yeah, check out if you have any relations to Tom Telesco in the past, maybe you guys ran into each other at the mall, you could be on the Chargers coaching staff.
So we've got now, what a wacky coaching cycle. Urban Meyer, Brandon Staley, Robert Saleh, and Dan Campbell. Like, people are really moving outside the box. It looks like Eric Bieniemy might get squeezed out depending on what happens with that Deshaun Watson situation. And then Josh McDaniels interviewing in Philadelphia. Pretty crazy. Ian Rappaport of NFL Media tweeted that the Rams did a stealth interview process. A stealth, like they had a secret second meeting that nobody found out about. Telesco's pretty good about this. He does this with the draft too. They did a secret second meeting with Staley after the playoff game. I believe he said after the playoff game, right? Let's see what he said. He said, scheduled a second interview with Staley for after his playoff game. He had other interviews scheduled, but the Chargers had no intention of letting him leave. So look, this guy's had a rapid rise. You know, he coached with Sean McVay. That's a big plus for these teams for whatever reason. I'm sure he has this CEO type attitude. That's the buzzword that's being thrown around this season. 38 years old. That's really young, but you know, we've seen certainly younger guys hired. He, by all accounts, he is very meticulous in his approach to how he operates. He is analytical in his approach. He likes to, look at, creating numbers and the numbers and the mismatches in terms of what he does on defense. That's why they don't like to play single high safety with their defense. And I mean, it's a risky move, but if you think he's the guy, and you would assume that if he was at John Carroll doing all that work, that Tom Telesco has sort of been in contact with people who worked with him and has an opportunity to sort of decide, all right, this guy can really make this work, et cetera, et cetera. Like he might have more insight into him than you normally would a first-year defensive coordinator and 38-year-old DC coming out of LA.
Well, right. And like the younger coaches, obviously Sean McVay is a great example of someone who works out, but even Sean McVay was an offensive coordinator for 3 years before he got his head coaching job. And the thing is, here's why I don't think you know what you have with Brandon Staley is you got hired to be the coordinator of a defense that literally has the best player in football. So, and it's not like he was doing head and shoulders.
Best players. Like, I mean, you got Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, but those guys are probably both getting votes for defensive player.
Right. And this defense was fantastic under Wade Phillips. And it's not like people were knocking down Wade Phillips' door to hire him as a head coach or even keep him as a defensive coordinator. And so I think if you have the best players on your team, that doesn't automatically mean that you're going to be a good coach. So I think of all the hires that have been made so far, this is my biggest question mark.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the fit.
Well, I don't even know if it's like the fit. I think the question mark, Breech, is that, I mean, when he was hired to replace Wade Phillips as the defensive coordinator, it was like, I'm sorry, who? I mean, like, who he is, but he's like, you're making a huge leap for this guy to come in and try and turn around a defense on a team with playoff expectations, with these big personalities and Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, after you move on from Wade Phillips, arguably the greatest defensive coordinator in professional football history. And Staley filled his shoes and did really well. And as a result, you now have this situation where Staley's, career path is on a rocket ship. I do think if you're going to do this with a job like this, that the Chargers is a good one, because while the Chargers are in LA and that's a big market, there's just not that much buzz around the Chargers. Like if Brandon Staley, Anthony Lynn was doing terrible things on a weekly basis, making huge mistake after huge mistake. And nobody was, people were up in arms about it, but it wasn't that big a deal. There's no fan base clamoring, there's no local sports talk radio ripping you apart. So you have a little room to work with here. If you're Brandon Staley, if you're looking at this job and you're a popular candidate, we said it was one of the two most attractive jobs out there, along with the Jaguars job.
Yeah. And I'll say the two reasons, and I've came up with a lot of things why it is a little weird. Maybe the hiring's not a fit, but there are two reasons why I do think it. Well, one for Brandon Staley is that I'm sure when the Chargers called, Brandon Staley probably called his wife and said, honey, we don't have to move. Like, hey, I just got a huge contract and I'm coaching the Chargers who play in the same stadium as the Rams. We good. But if you're the Chargers, here is why you hire a defensive coach, because you have to figure out how to stop Patrick Mahomes. And so you want a guy who's literally just going to lock himself in his office until he can outsmart and outthink Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense, and you build your entire team around being able to do that. So that would be the argument for hiring a defensive coach, because you have to figure out how to slow down that offense. Otherwise, you're never going to win the division. But again, developing Justin Herbert should have been goal number one. And, we obviously don't know who the offense coordinator is going to be here, but that is why this is a little weird.
I agree with that. So I was just looking up really quickly. Remember, he was the outside linebackers coach for the 2019 Denver Broncos, right? Just 1 year. And just to look really quickly, they gave up 30 points to the Chiefs in the first meeting and 23 to the Chiefs in the second meeting. But, I mean, all things considered, that's not too terrible. That's right. Mahomes got hurt in one of those games. Because, right? Didn't he get hurt on the goal line? Remember, that's when he hurt his knee last year? In that first game on Thursday night? Yeah, it was. Because I was saying that Flacco was going to beat the Chiefs. But I mean, I think, he has experience coaching against Mahomes, and you don't have the same players on the defense that you do in the Rams, but you have some very good players. You have Derwin James, who I would have to imagine he can utilize in incredible ways out there with the way that he likes to work the safeties. And of course, Joey Bosa. They have some really nice players on the defensive line in the interior. They just drafted Kenneth Murray as well. Chris Harris should still be coming back. I mean, there's a lot of defensive pieces. So I think you can look at Brandon Staley and say, all right, yes, we need an offensive guy. But if this guy is a really good head coach, and we believe he's going to be a good head coach, we can bring him in. He can get this defense rolling, and he can hire somebody who can come in and be a smart offensive coordinator and that can do good work for him. And so that's really the question. Who's he going to hire as his offensive coordinator, and how will they develop Justin Herbert? What do we expect from them from a short-term and long-term perspective?
From the Chargers?
Yeah. I mean, how many, what do we need to see from the Chargers next year? I think the most important thing, we talked about this with the Bengals this past year too. Justin Herbert can't regret. When I say can't regress, I don't mean statistically regress. He's probably going to do that because he had a monster year. But Justin Herbert can't just fall off a cliff and be terrible all of a sudden. That can't happen.
Right. And I think, if you're Staley, the good thing with the defense side of the ball is that you have a solid nucleus to work with. And so it's a matter of making sure no one takes a step back, because look, you said it with Anthony Lynn. All the Chargers need is a coach who's not choking in the clutch, who's just making normal, competent decisions down the stretch. The Chargers probably would have won 3 more games this year minimum if they had better coaching or coaches who made better decisions in the fourth quarter. I mean, they just looked undisciplined in the fourth quarter, and I think that's why they lost a few of their games. So if Brandon Staley can do that, and I would think he can, then you're already ahead of the 8 ball there. So, the Chargers have a lot of talent. They just need better coaching, and if Tom Telesco thinks that's what Staley gives, then the move makes sense. Okay, so are we now looking at, and we'll have a Dan Campbell to the Lions podcast, and that happens, of course. Dan Campbell! Mate! Urban Meyer to the Jags, Solid to the Jets, Arthur Smith to the Falcons, Staley to the Chargers. Does that mean the only 2 jobs left open are the Texans and the Eagles, the 2 worst jobs? Texans and the Eagles. What a bizarre coaching run. Yeah, I think you want to see smart decision-making for Brandon Staley. You want to see the offense be a little more consistent. You want to see Justin Herbert not fall off a cliff. And you want to see that defense take a step forward. And I think that's a big key factor for them. Is can the Chargers defense be elite under Staley in the way that the Rams was? And if it can, then all of a sudden you feel like you really made a good hire. 2021, I mean, they should compete for a playoff spot, right? Absolutely. Their roster's really good. They have that kind of talent. Yeah. I mean, this year, there's a reason Anthony Lynn got fired. They botched games at the end and didn't compete for a playoff spot, really.
They are good enough to compete for a playoff spot with the way that Justin Herbert played. So we'll see how that works out. And look, you'd have to think that Brandon Staley just spent a year with Sean McVay. He has to be he has to know some kind of a young offensive mind that he can set loose with Justin Herbert. It's also possible that he does what Sean McVay did when he went to the Rams and hire a veteran coordinator on the other side of the ball in order to give him a steadying presence. That wouldn't be shocking either. And that wouldn't be bad for Herbert's development. So we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, sort of in flux here. Not exactly a ton of time to prepare for this since it got dropped on our laps as the second that game ended. You could tell that the NFL media reporters were told not to say anything until that game ended.
Don't overshadow Tom Brady versus Drew Brees.
Brady and Brees, we will electroshock therapy you, rap sheet. All right, that's it for the Brandon Staley.
Let me just say one more thing, Brinson. Sure. If Brian Dable goes to Philadelphia or Houston has a lot of success, and the Chargers don't, that's one of those things you're going to be kicking yourself.
Oh, like if Dable's great wherever he goes and Chargers stink? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's absolutely true. You would think, though, do you think that this means that Dable's not going anywhere? Because you would think that the way that this played out with Tom Telesco making a move for Staley, surely he's talking with I'm sure he texted Dable after the win on Saturday night, was like, way to go. I mean, they're all roommates,
Yeah.
Don't you think he texted him, was like, way to go? And I'm sure they've been talking. Like, I would be shocked if they weren't chatting at least.
Yeah. And look, we had Jalen Ramsey with this quote that he basically said, Brandon Staley's a genius. If teams do make the mistake of not hiring him, we're going to have a sequel part 2 and we're going to turn it up a notch. But basically said, there's only 5% chance he's coming.
It sounds like he's a defensive Sean McVay.
Yes, that is
how he's being kind of portrayed. Like a young wonderkind who sort of flew under the radar, but also climbed the ladder very quickly. And now has a head coaching job with the Chargers. All right, that's it for the Brandon Staley Emergency Podcast. We will take a quick pause and then shift back to talking about the championship lines as we head into hour number 2 of our live stream on Twitch and YouTube. Make sure and hang out until the wee hours as we do a full podcast. Okay. So somebody in the chat said I wouldn't be surprised if Andy Reid retired in 3 years. No way.
He's gonna coach Mahomes as long as if Andy Reid can walk on a sideline on a football field, maybe be in a wheelchair. He's not retiring until Mahomes retires, or so he catches Belichick in Super Bowls.
Yeah. I'm not buying that. I think Andy Reid will coach for. How old is Andy Reid? I mean, it's you can't tell how old anybody is anymore.
He is in his 60s, I believe.
Yeah, I think he's 62. No, he's coaching 8 years. I mean, he coaches till he's 70. Why would you leave? You're winning 12 games every year if Mahomes is healthy.
And Mahomes just signed a 10-year extension. You're going to stick around for as many of those years as you possibly can. And you've already got one Super Bowl with him. If you get another one this year, all of a sudden you're 1/3 of the way to Belichick and Brady, and you still have Mahomes under contract till like 2031 or whatever.
And Brady's gone. Belichick's trying to reboot. I mean, you got the Bills to deal with, but
and
he has the Bills too. But I think Andy got that. I think he got he's like the happiest, nicest guy on the planet. I think he got the monkey off his back in terms of winning the Super Bowl, and he's ready to rip through some titles. And I think he believes after getting one with Mahomes in tow and all these pieces locked up and the core of the team prepared for the long haul, Brett Veach doing a great job managing that roster, finding new talent, that this team is set to win a couple of titles in the next few years.
Yeah. Andy Reid is going to stick around till Brinson will retire before Andy Reid.
I forget that Arthur Smith is in Atlanta. No, I said that. I mentioned him. I did gloss over him when I mentioned the hires the first time. Based on the weekly calendar, when will we know if Mahomes can and can't play this week? Speaking of Andy Reid trying to get his titles, that was going to be my segue. It starts on Sunday at 6:40 p.m. Eastern time on CBS. The second game, the AFC title game between the Bills and the Chiefs. What a barn burner that'll be. The over-under is like 54. I would anticipate that. Is it 5 days? I think we'll know by Friday, right? The line is built in a way that would lead you to believe that Patrick Mahomes is playing this game.
Look, here's what's going to happen. The injury report's going to come out. When's the first one come out? Wednesday?
Yes.
Comes out Wednesday. It's going to say either limited participant or non-participant. Maybe he's allowed to throw on the sideline. That would make him limited. Thursday, limited or non. One of the two. Friday, he probably practices. And if he doesn't, he'll be at the walkthrough on Saturday. He'll go through the walkthrough. So they basically have all week. They can literally, if the concussion tests aren't going the way that Mahomes needs them to play, then they would list him as doubtful for the game, and they probably wouldn't rule him out until the inactive list came out at 5:10 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. So they're gonna, no matter what, and I think Brinson and I both think he is going to play. There's like a 5% chance he will not play.
Check it out. Sharing screen, looking at the odds. You know who else thinks he's gonna play? William Hill, because the line is Chiefs -3. If the Bills are playing Chad Henne, the line is not Chiefs -3. It's like Bills -5. What's the line with Chad Henne starting?
Bills by 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, it's got to be like I mean, it's insane to think that Mahomes is worth 9 points to the line, but I mean, he really might be. I mean, if this is why, but they're also doing this because of safety for the exposure reasons, right? So they don't want to make it Bills -3 and everybody just blitzkriegs the Chiefs and then Mahomes plays. But right now you don't want to, you're not going to even if you like the Bills. I mean, I guess if you like the Bills, you would take them now, right? I think this could get up to 4, maybe.
Yeah. If you like the Bills, you should take them sooner, because once it's known that Mahomes is playing, I have to think.
No, once we know Mahomes is playing, I think it'll go up to like.
But who knows? Because with the Chiefs, did you see the way the number moved before the Chiefs-Browns game Sunday morning? That thing was at 10 points. All of a sudden, boom, it went down to 9. Boom, it went down to 8. It got down to 7.5.
I didn't see some Bucs.
I mean, and obviously those people who bet pounded the Browns down 1, but the money line went down 2 because the Browns' money line was being pounded. It was pretty crazy how fast that moved. So I don't know if the same thing might happen with the Bills, especially with Mahomes' injury.
I'll tell you what I like with these two games. Get a teaser in there now. Bills +9, Bucs +10. I'm not sure that loses. What do you think? I also don't mind your little trick either. Let's see what happens.
That's my go-to, man. You have to have an ability to live bet games and to watch them as they go without any distractions. Not everybody has that. That's the difference.
Well, I mean, you got a phone. Yeah, I mean, you need to know.
Not every state has live online betting. You have to be able to do live betting.
Yeah. So a 2-game parlay. Let's say you're rich like Breech and you put $100 on you put $100 on the Chiefs and the Packers to win outright. That would pay out $148. You get $248 because you get your $100 back here because it's a deposit book, not a credit book. I don't hate that parlay. Now, the other opportunity, Breech, would be to bet the dogs. Like, do you think the Packers and the Chiefs win those games?
I think it depends on how you feel about, because I've got right now it says the Packers are favored by 4. Is that what you have?
Yes. You can see it on your screen. Look up.
What?
You can see it on your screen if you look up.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking up. It's too small. I don't have glasses like you do, Brinson. My blue light glasses.
Yeah. SEEC me says, geez, Breech. Everybody has a guy. Come on.
that you can call every second as soon as the live betting changes. I don't know.
Can you all call Sean? I need to know if Ryan Pace will give Chad Henne $30 million a year for leading the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. Wait, did Breeze tell Jameis the Saints are his team? I did not see that.
Wait, what?
I didn't see that.
Somebody tell us that? Somebody
said that in the chat. I did not see Breeze say this is your team now. Did somebody, is that real? Anyway, let's
apparently maybe he mouthed it, but that's what a shot in the face of Taysom Hill once he sees that.
This is your team now. I didn't see that. No,
I'm shooting it into Slack right now so you can see it. Allegedly. So I think it comes down to if you think it's going to be a close game. If I was going to make my normal 2-game parlay, I would probably go Packers Bills right now because I feel better about the Packers winning straight up in Green Bay. Rodgers has been on fire. Tom Brady, obviously he didn't look that good against the Saints, but they won because the defense forced 4 turnovers and Drew Brees gave away 3 interceptions. And so, if you do that, that is 2.5 to 1. So your $100 bet wins you $250.
Wait, so say it again. Sorry, I was
Packers Bills 2-game parlay.
Packers Bills. So well, and so here is sort of my point on the Packers and the Bills.
But only the Packers. Once the Packers win, then you can hedge it by betting the Chiefs.
Yeah, but you would rather have your hedge coming in on the positive money.
I mean, that's true unless the Bills score first, and then
yes, I agree with that. So you take the Packers and the Bills. You hope that the Bill, because that pays out great. You hope that the Bills score first.
If the Bills score first, you can put yourself in a spot where you're making at least $70.
Right. The Chiefs. So let's say you put $100 on that to win $266. Right.
Yep.
If the Bills score first, and then
and the Packers have to win. Packers have to win.
Packers have to win, obviously, and then get a stop and get the ball back. The Chiefs might even. I don't know how high, the live betting with the Chiefs is weird because they don't want the Chiefs to get. They won't like. I don't know. Maybe that Houston game. I guess they were like 5-1 or something where they're down 24-0. But even
don't want to get hurt by the Chiefs making a comeback.
Yeah, they are not going to put the Chiefs above 200. So if you do this and you take the Bills and the Packers win, and you're trying to lock in profit, you need to basically, if anything at 120 plus 125 or better, you need to hit the Chiefs.
Or even if the Chiefs are just at plus 100 even money and you bet 100, right?
Yeah.
That guarantees you don't lose any money if the Chiefs win, but if the Bills
win $156,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And you can scale that by betting more.
You can even take that up to 150, so you guarantee yourself at least $50 worth of profit.
Right.
Now, if Josh Allen throws a pick 6 and the Chiefs go up early, you're screwed.
Right. Or if you just decide not to hedge because you decide that Drew Brees is going to win his final game. Actually, you know what? You want to know the real reason why I didn't hedge, Brinson? Because we were coming on and doing this in the fourth quarter, and I wanted to add some drama. That's literally the only reason I didn't.
You can't pop on and be like, yeah, I hedged. So what are you guys doing?
Yeah, that's not any fun. Like, hey, guys, I already won some money. It's over. No, I wanted some drama. Brinson gave it to us last night. I had to do it tonight. It was my turn. It was only fair.
Bieniemy as offensive coordinator to the Chargers. No, that won't happen. In fact, Andy Reid can block that and would block that. He blocked Mike Kafka getting an interview with Philadelphia for their OC position last year when he was the quarterback's coach with, I don't know if he made him like the co-OC. Oh, God. How much of a peacock would Prisco be if it was the Bills-Packers Super Bowl? Unbearable. Let me screen.
I don't even want to know. I don't even want to think about it.
I'll ask him. Hold on. I'll text him and see what he thinks. Just how much of a peacock he would be peacocking so hard. Actually, he would be a little upset because he picked Chiefs. This is hell on earth because the only guy who can save us is Tom Brady because Prisco has the Packers and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl before the season. And he picked that for the site. He mentions it constantly. And then he has the Bills as one of his favorite teams. So it's sort of a win-win for Prisco, but I've kind of accepted that this season. He nailed the season. As Pierce points out, Kafka wasn't even in the division. Like they're not letting Bieniemy go to the Chargers.
And if you're Bieniemy, you wouldn't want to. You're not going to make a lateral move to coach iffy Chargers offense when you have Patrick Mahomes. You're literally just going to if no one's offering you a head coaching job, you're staying in Kansas City as long as Patrick Mahomes is quarterback.
Can you hear my chair squeaking?
No.
Okay, good. So I was going to lean back. Debo's leaving, so I'm going to lean back and relax for a minute. He gets mad when I lean down. He yells at me.
We got somebody asking about parlaying the over-under with the money line. I will just say real quick on over-unders, I don't like betting them in January, December, late season games because cold weather has a tendency to just create bizarre scores. So like we saw the Chiefs and Browns, over-under was 56.5. Those teams didn't even get to 40 points. and we saw it with the Bills and Packers. And so again, obviously,
wind is the only thing that matters.
I mean, there wasn't a lot of wind in Kansas City today, and they still didn't get the 40 points. I mean, it affected the Bills-Ravens game.
There's a lot of wind in that Kansas City game.
No, I mean, it was nothing close to Bills-Ravens. It was normal.
No, of course not. But there was 6 points in the first half of that game. I mean, but like you can get it under without wind. I'm just saying that wind matters.
But wind is hard to account for until the day of the game. Like the meteorologist will project it days in advance, but it doesn't always come to fruition.
Right now, it's showing for Buffalo on Sunday, it's showing like 5 miles an hour wind. And that's 7 days out. So you just can't project that. Like Wednesday and Thursday is when you should start looking.
Right. I'm going to do Brinson a favor and look up the weather where the game's actually being played in Kansas City.
Park, you little bee.
In Kansas City.
Oh, the game's in Kansas City. What am I talking about?
And there,
that was just a mistake.
The wind right now is estimated at just 7 miles an hour, but a 40% chance of precipitation at about 40 degrees. So that could be rain or snow. And I think that
Buffalo, what am I doing?
Cold rain is the hardest weather for the NFL team. It's like they would prefer snow over cold rain.
100%. Snow is good for overs.
Yeah.
Snovers, wonders are wind unders, and snovers are snow overs. Because when you get snow, it's slippery, and defensive players are trying to run backwards and can't do it, and offensive players can jailbreak stuff. When you get, I'm not saying that wind guarantees an under. It doesn't at all. Like we saw the Ravens-Browns game was supposed to have crazy wind on that Thursday night, and it ended up being like 70 points in that game. But yeah, I mean, if anything under 15 miles an hour wind, I'm not really worried about, as far as the game, like just looking at the game, 54, that's a lot of points, but it's priced in a way that I think is designed to entice people towards the over.
And don't forget real quick, when the Buccaneers-Packers played first time around, they totaled 48 points. And when the Bills and Chiefs played the first time around, they totaled 43. So Bills and Chiefs went way under their number that it's set at right now, and Buccaneers-Packers went kind of under. Buccaneers-Packers would be the one where I'd lean over, but who knows?
Oh, I'll tell you what I like right here. Bills team total 25.5. See the
Bills team total 25.5.
Yeah. Chiefs are a little high at 28.5. Actually, that's not that high, I guess. You can score the Bills. That's not crazy at all.
The thing that scares me about the Chiefs, and here's the one thing that scares me about the Chiefs, is even if Mahomes plays, he's one hit away.
Mm-hmm.
He's on iffy ground. This isn't, Josh Allen.
Yeah, but a concussion is a little bit different.
What?
Well, like in the sense that, I mean, everybody's one hit away from a concussion.
No, I'm saying that like it could be a soft. He didn't even like bang his head. He got like I put in slack. Like it looked like the defender put him in the $1 million dream, and he was just like that. It was because they showed the replay multiple times. He never slammed his head against anything. He was just like couldn't stand up.
That's true. That was weird. I kind of like this alternate Bills -3 plus 185. I think the Bills could just win this game. The Chiefs were impressive with that first drive, but they weren't like. I mean, the Browns' defense is bad. The Bills are substantially better than the Browns, right?
I think the Bills are substantially.
I agree with Angriest.
I'm leaning Bills right now.
Yeah, I'm leaning Bills too. Angriest. Oh, what's the over under for Diggs touchdowns? Got some bold predictions on the line from Nathan. I mean, I would. Diggs is probably. With that Kansas City defense, Diggs is probably -125 to score anytime touchdown. I don't mind that at all. Probably 5-1 to score the first touchdown, and you can bet 3 touchdowns at like, I don't know, 50-1 or maybe probably 25 to 40-1. I don't know what it is. But I like that. I like that idea. Did any of our bold predictions work out?
We had Diggs with 4 touchdowns. That's a negative. And then we had what was our Packers-Rams bold prediction?
What was it?
Oh, it was that Rams quarterbacks would throw equal to or more touchdown passes than Aaron Rodgers. That whiffed but came close. Rodgers threw 2, Goff threw 1. And a little close.
Were they tied? 2 and 1?
No, the tie was part of the bold prediction, but Rodgers threw 2, Goff threw 1. So it didn't.
That's actually a pretty close call.
And then Browns Chiefs was that the Browns would have more total yards. I thought once Chad Henne went in that was going to hit. It did not. The Chiefs had 438. The Browns had 308. And then the final bowl prediction from Wilson was that Antonio Brown would score 3 touchdowns. Antonio Brown had 1 catch for 10 yards.
Yeah, he got hurt too. Oh, hello. I'm winning some money here. Cashed in. All right. No, I didn't win that much money. Never mind. Boo. By the lineup we put together on with those guys did not work out so well. It was a Drew Brees centric lineup that did not go well. You had to have Kelsey. I had Kelsey and Mahomes, and that was kind of it. Devontae Adams. Yeah, DK. Rough week on DK. I have to get back on the horse when it comes to the old NBA, I guess. But that was
I have a fun fact. You want it now, or do you want me to save it for the podcast?
I'd love it. Give us some chat questions, by the way. It's random ass questions.
Should we give everybody in chat a chance to answer this?
Yeah, sure.
So we'll wait a few minutes. All right. Tom Brady, 4th quarterback to lead his team to both an AFC and NFC championship game.
Ooh.
Who are the other 3?
Okay. I'm not going to look at the chat while I try to think of this. So AFC and NFC championship game.
I can feel the chatters Googling.
You don't Google. You got to answer it of your own accord.
I'm covering up the chat so that Brinson can't see it. I'm just kidding. That's not how it works.
I'm not going to look in the chat. So it could be an AFC and NFC championship game. The other 3, can you give me like a range of?
I will give you a hint real quick that I would have gotten one of them right away, maybe 2 of them if I had thought about it, and never would have gotten the 3rd one.
I mean, my initial guess would be Joe Montana because you have 49ers and.
Are you reading the chat? Congratulations, everyone in chat who got it before Brinson.
I mean, that's the obvious one. I was running in my head like, the Chiefs did go to a championship game in Montana, right?
My timestamp says DM Mart 42. Yes. Not only did they go, they played the Bills in 1993. So that the Bills are in it this year.
That's why I saw it. Oh, because I saw somebody put it in the picture. It was like the last time the Bills were in the championship game. It's like Montana being knocked down by a Bills defensive player.
Which, if it happens to Mahomes, that's
okay.
Crazy thing that comes around.
All right. So the 2 other ones, are they are they since Montana or before Montana?
Before.
Okay.
All right. I will give you, I think, a hint. Let me double check.
I think there's a Raiders situation here.
Let me give you the actual hint. So this one I only know because it was the starting quarterback against the Bengals the year they won their last playoff game.
Oh.
So this might not be something common that everyone knows. That's how I would have known this one.
No. What year was it? 1835?
1990 season, January 1991.
Oh, goodness gracious.
He was the Raiders starting quarterback. Bo Jackson got injured. They beat.
So I was right on the Raiders.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it Stabler?
No. It's 1990, Brinson.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Bo Jackson got injured. Stabler. No, I'm Plunkett.
Not Plunkett.
Does Chat get it yet? I'm not cheating.
Chat has gotten one that you have not gotten.
I'm terrible at these live trivia things. I like freeze up.
Do you want me to give you the one that Chat got?
I'll just look at the chat and figure it out. I mean, mad when I see it.
I bet you might look at
wait, no. Somebody gets Favre. That's not it. I was gonna be mad at myself. I was
Favre is Vikings and Packers, not multi-conference.
Unitas? George? It's not Gannon. Who was it?
It just came up, but our guy didn't guess it. He said not Jay Schrader. It is Jay Schrader.
Oh, wow. It's not Gannon. Gannon went to did Gannon go to a championship game in the NFC?
Jay Schrader went with Washington.
I would have never gotten Jay Schrader.
He went with the Raiders in 1990 and went with Washington in 1980.
I looked it up.
It took everyone a while, though. They didn't get it quickly. And then the last one, the one I think anyone would get, the one I didn't know until I looked it up, Craig Morton.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't. Jay Schrader and Craig Morton, I wouldn't have gotten that. I think we got a text back from Prisca. Let's see what he says.
We should hit Wilson with that trivia, and he has to take a shot for everyone he gets wrong.
I would say also trivia time. What are the other?
Does Prisco answer you at this point, or is he in bed?
Yeah. He laughed at the image that I sent in the chat. And he said, "Ha." When Pete does a single "ha," it means he's laughing loudly. Like it's really weird.
That's his LOL.
He's just like "ha." He's like actually cackling in his office. That's hard. All right, so I got one though, right? I got the Montana one. That's good. I'm not going to get Jay Schrader and Craig Morton. Who did Craig Morton? So you with the Raiders and the
Raiders in 1990 and Washington in 1986.
I was going to guess Roman Gabriel.
That would have been a fun guess.
Yeah, love Roman Gabriel. NC State, former number one overall.
I was going to guess David Klingler.
Those are hard. Pete is literally my dad at this point. Yes. I have to get giant tattoos of Bengals quarterbacks for whenever I get wrong. Who gets a head coaching job first, Josh McDaniels or Eric Bieniemy? Ask us questions, by the way, because we're trying to not kill time. We're trying to eat clock. We're trying to melt the clock before while we wait on Wilson, whatever the hell he's doing. Good call, Diva. Closing the screen.
I say Bieniemy.
Yeah, I think Bieniemy.
Although, so do you think
unless McDaniels gets this Eagles job? That's really interesting.
What if Cal McNair says, "Look, Bieniemy, the only way Deshaun Watson wants to stay here is if we hire you. I'll give you like $15 million a year because that's
I think
the only option. The only way Deshaun Watson's going to say is if Bieniemy gets hired."
No, I think I think if they meet with like Brian Dable, and I think they could talk him into staying. Maybe. I don't know if I think McDaniels might be more likely to get the Eagles job than. So somebody pointed this out, and I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast over the weekend, but at some point in Jeffrey Lurie's Doug Peterson's fired press conference, he referenced Josh. He didn't say Josh McDaniels. He said Josh, which is kind of interesting, right? This is not like Debo talking about his favorite coach, like Doug. Doug. Well, we'll see if we land Doug. This is the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles announcing that his coach is fired and referencing, he was talking about the Frank Reich. He's like, we lost Frank Reich. And he said Frank Reich. And he said when Josh left, which leads me to believe that he'd had some serious personal interactions with Josh. You know what I'm saying? Because the buzz surrounding the Eagles was that they fired Doug Peterson at that point in the coaching search or the coaching cycle with the belief that somebody was ready to take their job. So I think the Eagles make a lot of sense for McDaniels. I could see him convincing the Lurie and Howie Roseman that he can fix Carson Wentz. I can see them seeing like, all right, we fired Doug Peterson. He won a Super Bowl. This is a hot mess we've got ourselves in terms of PR. Everybody's calling us idiots. It's a disaster. If we get Josh McDaniels, people are going to kind of chill on that. And if you're Josh McDaniels, all of a sudden it's like, oh boy, my name is out of the cycle now. The offense was terrible for the Patriots this year. Didn't get the most out of Cam. People are sort of wondering about my pedigree without Tom Brady. I probably need to if I want to make a move, if I think Bill's going to keep coaching here for 5 more years, I got to make a move now unless I want to be an OC for the rest of my life.
Yeah, but also if you're Josh McDaniels and you turn down the Colts coaching job, which actually was a fantastic opportunity.
It's how how Doug Peterson got fired.
How are you going to take the Eagles job? There is nothing going on in Philly. Sorry, Debo, but that is just if McDaniels is passing up jobs that are good, why would he take a job that's not good?
I think that was Debo. Could you jump on and delight us with your some discussion about the Eagles and Josh McDaniels?
Yeah, I think tonight really opens.
You're going to be a circle? You're going to show the folks what you're wearing at home? What's the deal?
I'm not wearing anything. Breech.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
I think I saw a Debo dating question in there too.
No, we can skip that one.
What was it? I didn't see that one.
I don't think I saw it.
I can't read the YouTube chat because I'm banned from YouTube.
That doesn't.
How'd you get banned from YouTube? Was that for filming your? I won't say it.
No, you know what? It's actually really ironic. Back in the day when I first started blogging, I would I had a device it's an HD recorder. I got it somewhere in my office up here, but you run it through your TV, and I had it hooked up to a separate laptop. This is before like people like now dudes, teams rip videos and leagues rip videos and social media people rip videos. But like I would stream stuff and rip really high quality video and post it. And I got banned because I got a what's the cease and desist letter or whatever it is, the DNCA or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Been there, done that.
But I got it, but do you know who sent it to YouTube? Guess.
Wilson?
No.
CBS.
Yes. CBS. Before I got hired at CBS got me banned from YouTube because maybe it was the Masters. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was like college basketball. I got copyright takedown notices on my YouTube account from CBS, the company that I'm full-time employed at now. And as a result, I can't, if I go to YouTube and I click log in, hold on, let me see if I'll see if I can do this real quick. I'll share my screen and I'll show you what happens if I go to YouTube. But let me, let's see.
So Brinson is trying to come up with a story because he was actually banned from YouTube for posting a video of hamster porn, as we all know.
So you can't log in with our CBS accounts, right?
That's always correct.
Yeah.
Personally.
Okay. All right. So look, I'm gonna share my screen right now, and I'll show you what pops up when I go click new, account, I log in with my Gmail account. This is what pops up. To share that. Your account has been permanently disabled. What the hell? I can't. But I have a YouTube account. I have YouTube TV in my house, and I have a YouTube account like that I log in with, like on the YouTube app. Like I can switch to willbrinson@gmail.com on the app, but I can't log in like this. It says I've been permanently disabled. What the hell? It's ridiculous.
If you are a loyal podcast listener, let us know in the chat if you've heard that story before on the podcast, because it has been shared.
I've told it before, but yeah. You guys didn't know I got banned. It wouldn't, so whatever. Why I pilot TVs? That's a question. CBS pirate. That's right. I pirated CBS content. I think the statute of limitation is up. Google, set me free, please. Come on. So I can get in the YouTube chat. Maybe I'll create a new Gmail account so I get in the YouTube chat. I can't read it. It won't update.
That's the simple solution.
Yeah, I guess so.
I have one Gmail account.
I mean, how many do you have?
Devo's got burners. He's dating. When you're single, you have burners.
Oh, that's right. Debo, there's some buzz in the office that Debo logs on to a separate Gmail account and comments on his like own Tinder profile, like, oh, look at that cute guy. Like, so people will try to jump on him.
Oh, I could see Devo doing that.
Can you comment on a Tinder account? I have no idea.
I am encouraged that you don't know the inner workings of Tinder. That is good to hear.
I had a buddy, my wife's friend. Stop me if I told the story. I won't name her name, but the dude, Devo's just mad he got asked to turn his camera on and had to listen to a Brinson story. Probably, yes.
Not a great combo.
Oh, we were going to talk about the Eagles. I forgot about that. But really quickly. So he like went home to his parents' house and hung out for like a weekend or something like that and came back. And she was like, got an alert. It was like, one of her other friends got matched with him on Tinder when he came back into Raleigh. And she was like, I got matched up with blank. And she asked him, she's like, what, are you on Tinder? And he was like, I was just trying to meet up with people at home. Because they're trying to find out where like people I went to high school with might be hanging out and what they might be doing that I hadn't seen in a while. And she was like, oh, okay, that makes total sense. It's like, are you an idiot? This guy is stepping out. It's very obvious. Okay, so Debo, the Eagles coaching job. Josh McDaniels, your thoughts?
I'm excited about Josh McDaniels' possibility. I'm with people that are along the lines like Josh McDaniels had the Broncos job when he was 30, 31 years old. People grow they're not equipped. Not everyone is equipped to have a head coaching job at the age of 30. I think 10 years later, a decade of experience, a lot of that with Bill Belichick. I think he's ready. I'm not scared off by the Colts situation when he's ready to commit to a new team. If it's not going to end up being the Patriots long term, I'm in on that. But also, we thought Brian Daboll was going to go to the Chargers tonight with Brandon Staley going there. That opens up another possibility as well. And then also I'm watching the Chiefs game and it's, wow, look at this play calling. I know a lot of that is influenced by Andy Reid, but look at Eric Bieniemy. I think despite me thinking that the Eagles made a mistake by waiting 8 days to fire Doug Peterson and thought we would be behind everyone else,
the way the coaching cycle is broken for you guys is beneficial, I think. Like we're saying, Dan Campbell, Arthur Smith, Brandon Staley, Urban Meyer, and who else am I missing? Is that it? That's a weird list. It's not a weird list. It's just that this year was bizarre because everybody kind of had the same thing. It was like 4 offensive coordinators. Everybody was like just listing 4 offensive coordinators.
Real quick, Jay Glazer in post game and talk about Patrick Mahomes. Remember, I said I thought it looked like Mahomes got put in the $1 million dream. He said that the symptoms the Chiefs training staff thought the symptoms were more akin to Mahomes having been choked out than actually having suffered a concussion.
Wow. So
somehow he did just get wrapped up wrong, probably got knocked unconscious because we said he never hit his head. You watch the replay, he never hit his head. So if a concussion is out the window, he'll still have to pass neurological tests. So they know it's not a concussion. But if that's the case, then it would seem like he's pretty much a lock to play.
Yeah.
Robert Saleh is the one that we
Robert Saleh. Sorry,
previously we missed a little Arthur Smith, but yeah, Robert Saleh was probably at the top of my list. So a shame from my perspective to see.
Oh man, I can see you being loving Robert Saleh.
Oh yeah, I mean,
shave your head if Robert Saleh got
hired. Robert Saleh gets hired and wins 13 games in his first year. We consider a shaved head, but
That's out the door now.
We're past that point. That's why I'm saying it now. So someone asked who I would prefer out of, the final candidates. I'm going to say Daboll. I'm really encouraged by what he did with Josh Allen, who I think is comparable in a sense. I'm not trying to be biased, but I think there's comparisons to be made between Josh Allen and Carson Wentz. So tapping into that a little bit.
I was going to say the same thing. I think you're right.
Yeah. But I'm not going to be. I would certainly welcome Josh McDaniels. I feel like I should maybe have a little bit more conviction on who I definitely want. But I like the options right now when I thought we were going to be beat to everyone. And Dan Campbell hires and Brandon Staley hires definitely helped that.
Yeah. Staley was sort of out of nowhere. I didn't think he would get a job. I thought he was just sort of interviewing to. I mean, maybe that's stupid and naive of me. I just didn't think somebody would jump. I mean, like Joe Brady was interviewing. Like the Falcons were like, "You're going to hire Joe Brady? How?" At least the Chargers and Staley, again with that John Carroll connection, that Tom Telesco has experience, right? Like he's presumably he watched some of these games. He some of the games that this guy coached in. He has studied it. Like it'd be like if like an offensive coordinator was at NC State, I would know a lot more about him than you know what I mean. Like, and so I think because of that, that's a little bit easier. If you're going to hire Joe Brady, literally no reporter has been in a press conference with Joe Brady this year, like, or ever really. Cause when he says he's been an offensive coordinator, like how would you go about doing that? Or Kellen Moore, you're going to hire, Kellen Moore's been around for a while, but like,
well, I was in some press conferences with Joe Brady as a graduate assistant. I remember talking to him at Penn State in like 2015. I think he was there. And
O'Brien,
what's that?
Is that O'Brien?
No, that was Franklin.
Oh, Joe Brady was under Franklin.
I think he was only there for 1 season, maybe 2, but he was a grad assistant. This was, he was.
Oh, in fact, was Matt Rule there too?
No, Matt Rule was at Temple at the time.
Okay, that was the closest connection I could find. Was like Joe Brady was at Penn State and Matt Rule was at Temple, which is like kind of close.
I'm trying. I think we uncovered some sort of connection maybe when we had Joe Person on over the summer, but yeah,
I think that's like it.
Another name, another Staley. A lot of people are mentioning Deuce Staley, who's been a longtime Eagles staffer, obviously a former running back. but so many players and former players have spoken so highly of him and just his command of the locker room. And that's what we talk about with the CEO type. He doesn't have to be a pure offensive genius wonder kid. If Deuce Staley can command the locker room in a way that Doug kind of lost grasp of, there's the Doug reference. I'm not against that either. Again, we're coming off of a coach that I didn't want to be fired, but now I think there's some options out there.
So Deuce Staley, Deuce just looks like a beast.
Deuce has become.
Who would want to fight between Deuce Staley and Dan Campbell?
The thing about Deuce Staley that would concern me if I was an Eagles fan in a positive way is that I don't know, like, could you live with Deuce Staley going somewhere else and winning a bunch of football games as a head coach for a different team? Like, that would be tough to swallow.
Let him get out. Yeah, and it's not going to happen this year, at least in terms
of the only place he's ever coached is Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He came in as the quality control coach for the special teams with Andy Reid, and he stayed after Andy Reid got fired and became the running backs coach under Chip Kelly and then Doug Peterson.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, we talked about Howie Roseman sticking around through different coaches. The fact that Deuce Staley has been through those guys says a lot. So we're hearing about players that played, in the late 2000s, early 2000s.
Sort of similar to Arthur Smith. Like, he's like, I think that's a benefit. It's like it doesn't ultimately matter. Like, you can't ultimately tell.
And
that rule. I mean,
real quick. NFL media did not make up that report about Brandon Staley. The Chargers have announced it. It is now official.
Oh, okay. Cool. Very cool. Cool.
You're welcome.
But like like you see like Matt LaFleur. It was like he's like following Kyle Shanahan around sometimes and then bouncing to college, and then he's with the Titans for 1 year. And you sort of have questions about like that. Why didn't this guy stick? Like, why isn't somebody trying to retain him? Why is he constantly moving and changing jobs? I think, and obviously that was unfounded. Matt LaFleur is a very good coach, but I think that's worth asking. Same thing with who's the old Eagles passing game coordinator, Jaguars offensive coordinator,
DeFilippo.
Like, DeFilippo is constantly like going around. It's like, why isn't this guy like he just it's like there's so much weird lateral trajectory that you have to ask a question. Like, you would ask a question about anybody. Like, if Debo was constantly being moved over to a different podcast, be like, why can't he just, what's that?
That would never happen.
No, I'm saying, like, if they're like, all right, Debo, we're taking off pick 6 and like let you do this for a little while, and then you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, you would ask questions.
I feel you. And the thing with Deuce, he's never, after all these years, never been, especially with the opening this year, never been elevated to offensive coordinator. And my thing about just the lack of an actual offensive coordinator this year, and Doug doing too much. I think that hurt. I would have loved to see him elevated last year, see how he performed in that role. Maybe Doug Peterson's still around, or maybe they're more willing to bump Deuce up another notch to head coach. I don't know how seriously they're considering him right now. But obviously feels, and Howie Roseman feel some type of way towards Deuce if he's been in the organization this long through a lot of different regimes.
Now, the other thing I will say too is that sometimes, in order to garner the necessary respect and promotion that you desire, you have to go outside of the organization from whence you grew originally. Sometimes you're perceived it's possible Deuce Staley is perceived as like, it's like Deuce, he's just an Eagle. And so I think like a homegrown guy, drafted in the 3rd round in 97, played running back for him for 6 years and then, finished his career with the Steelers. You know what I'm saying? Like, it might be perceived differently. Whereas if he goes and he coaches somewhere else, and then I'm just a theory. Like, he hadn't left. I don't know that that's true. I think Deuce Staley is beloved there. So, I'm sort of throwing that out there as something that has that I've heard people talk about in different walks of life before.
Give me the most random mid 2000s running back that comes to your mind right now.
Mid 2000s running back.
Deuce was early 2000s, mid 2000s.
Rudy Johnson.
Oh, Rudy Johnson's good. Is Sam Congato count?
That's random. Hit us up in the chat too.
Yeah, give us your most random running back. Who's the Panthers guy? Who's Oh,
Simbi Akabatuka.
no, he's drafted after them. Oh God, I lose my mind. I can't think of anything on the fly. Panthers draft history.
It's your Oxford game.
I mean,
I'm off my game.
D'Angelo Williams.
No. He was
that's too mainstream, right? You're thinking. I feel like you're thinking
Eric Norwood out of Louisville.
it's random.
3rd round pick, 4th round pick. No, Eric Norwood's a linebacker. No, it's not Eric Norwood. Who's the
Slayton? Somebody that's my new favorite.
who?
Somebody said Steve Slayton.
Oh, that's a good. God, I love Steve. It's not Eric Norwood. It's oh God, Eric Shelton. Eric Shelton out of Louisville.
I believe he was 2005 draft. I'm not I feel like we talked to BMAC about him as one of the guys.
We did talk to BMAC about him. You're right.
It sparked my memory from a few months ago.
Play against him at FSU, maybe?
Possibly.
Or they played together in. Oh, he went to Florida State, then transferred to Louisville. He played with him at Florida State. That's what it was.
And he was 8 picks ahead of BMAC.
That's what it was. We were talking to BMAC about the draft stuff, and he was like, Eric Shelton. Come on, man. Noel Devine is a good one. Noel Devine was one of the first like OG superstar high school like mixtape college
YouTube.
What's that?
On YouTube, like 2000.
First YouTube star. Yeah, exactly.
As was Steve Slayton. Got Jonathan Stewart out there, but Jonathan Stewart, 1st round pick.
I don't consider Jonathan Stewart random. I have randomly seen Jonathan Stewart on the grounds at Augusta, though.
Somebody's random running back comment for Brinson, Garrett Bradbury.
Who's that on there?
Oh, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis. That's a good one, too.
TJ Duckett's a good one. Lawrence Maroney.
Picks, though. Maroney, 1st round pick. Duckett was a 1st round pick, I believe.
Yeah. Lawrence Maroney was a 1st round pick by the Patriots. Horrible pick. Julius Jones out of Notre Dame. That's a good one. For the Cowboys.
Cadillac Williams.
He was a 5th overall, 4th overall pick.
He was top 5.
What?
Ronnie Brown? LaDainian Tomlinson?
Cedric Benson.
So, yeah.
He's the only guy in the NFL named Cadillac. How are you not going to count that?
Oh, God. I'm trying to think. There's somebody I'm missing. Who is it? Somebody that I loved in the mid-2000s. I'm trying to think of these.
Mine is always like Amos Arroway.
I know one. Jerome Harrison. No, is it Jerome Harrison? No. Who's the guy with he's saying he got a 300-yard game? Or who?
Oh, Jamal Lewis? The Ravens guy?
Jamal Lewis is a stud. I want a title. Oh, God. I'm off my game tonight.
That is him, right? He almost had the...
Jerome Harrison? It is Jerome Harrison. Yeah, Jerome Harrison. Remember him? Played for the Browns? And the Eagles maybe one year? Yes, Eagles. And then the Lions.
You know what's funny is that you got me to Jamal Lewis, who has the 2nd highest single game rushing total of all time, and Jerome Harris has the 3rd highest rushing total of all time for a single game.
Jerome Harrison's career high in rushing yards in a single game, 286. He had 4 other 100-yard rushing games. 286 for the Browns against the Chiefs back in 2009. I want to say that team was with Colt McCoy on it, maybe? That sound about right? Oh, no. I'm sorry. A much less handsome and much less talented quarterback for the Browns. One Brady Quinn.
I got another random one. Jarius Norwood.
That's a good one. What else we got in the chat here?
We got running backs on running backs.
Lindell White. That's a good one. Did I tell you guys that Lindell White texted me?
Was it appropriate, or was this like a Brett Favre situation?
Who should I take number 1 in fantasy?
Advice.
I was like, Christian McCaffrey?
Oma Tuama Afala.
Yeah, Maurice Jones-Drew, I don't know if that counts. Thomas Jones was a stud too. Peyton Hillis was on the cover of Madden. Ooh, Chester Taylor is a good one.
Great one.
Chester Taylor had some big games for the Vikings. Who's the guy that Pete put in the top 50 that Wilson always make fun of? It was with the Michael Turner. Remember, he was the backup for LT for so long, and then he finally went to Atlanta. It was great.
Ryan Matthews.
Oh, Tatum Bell. I was convinced Ryan Matthews is a good one. But Ryan Matthews is 2010s, right?
Yeah.
He was drafted in 09, maybe.
A lot of these are a little later.
Frank Gore. third time.
Someone asked why I did not mention Cedric Benson. Well, I mentioned Cadillac Williams and got shut down by these guys because that was a top 5 pick. So then I did not mention Cedric Benson because he was also a top 5 pick.
Devo said Cedric Benson. I said Ronnie Brown. He said Cedric Benson.
We were just going that running back draft class.
Monty Ball, another good one. That's a good Shanahan one. Oh, Orlando Scary.
That's a good one.
And then who's the other guy that was
We should be awarding points. We need some sort of point system.
Yeah. Travis Henry. He had a lot of kids. Mike Anderson's a good one from
Lamont Jordan.
Oh, I love Lamont Jordan. God, you could have told me Lamont Jordan would have a 1,700-yard rushing season. I would have believed you.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Did he?
If you guys had to rank the divisional round playoff games from most boring to least boring.
Oh, hold on. Wait. 2 more. Steven Jackson does not qualify as a random one. He was a stud. But we need to do the greatest YouTube clip of all time. See if I can share this one.
Are you going to get us banned?
No, I'm not going to get us in trouble.
Ryan's
No
here.
hamster stuff.
Let's
No
go.
hamster stuff.
Ryan Wilson is here.
Hello.
Thank you, Debo.
Hello, Wilson. Okay, I got to share my screen real quick. Share screen. I want to Chrome tab. Share audio. There we go. Okay, hit share. This is not bad.
It's going to be problematic.
No.
All right.
Oh my God, we can go to this. I mean, this is Ryan Wilson's post, or maybe Josh Katzowitz's. We got a CBS Sports post. Look at that.
Should I add it?
Yeah, add it. It's fine. I'm going to CBSSports.com link. Oh, hold on.
Yep.
God. Hit the link.
Hold on. All right. Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold on.
We're all going to get fired. That's how it's going to end.
We're not get fired for that. If you ever seen this, this is the best clip of all time. All right, share this one.
Is Wilson drinking milk?
I'm drinking
So
Did I write that? I didn't write that.
Josh Katzowitz wrote this in 2014. All right, let's see if I can turn this volume up. This is Donald Brown. You guys, I know I've talked about this. I've probably said this a million times. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know the clip. Why are you talking about it?
I was just talking about random running backs. This is so great.
Donald Brown went to UConn.
Let's see what it plays.
It's a long way for this, buddy. You're setting it up way too big.
I laugh so hard every time I see this.
I know.
Oh,
Knew that was coming.
why?
Because
Because you're banned from YouTube. Is that why?
you're banned.
Donald Brown.
Got to be tough to go through life without accessing YouTube.
It really is.
All right, let's do this. I already have my beer. I bought it this morning.
All right. Did I share it or no?
We just heard.
You just heard me shishing Ryan.
Just heard GD.
Let's see. Share this one. Once I start thinking about this, I have to hear the sound. Sorry.
I know. I'm just thinking about like you doing this at like family get-togethers. Like no, like Brinson, no one cares, and you're like, nope, you got to watch it.
Yeah, I'm like, hold on, wait for it. Let's see. There we go. There we go.
And slides down at the 16.
Oh yeah, watch it one more time. Watch it.
Serious?
Watch it run. He goes to
And slides down at the 16. And there's another negative.
I don't ever not laugh hysterically about that.
To recap,
Those emotions.
He's running for his life. Like,
you follow your shit out.
Donald.
Reach leaves. Devo's not even give you a courtesy smile.
Oh, I don't care. I laugh.
Ryan's active reaction.
Oh God, I love it.
All right, let's do this. Let's get out of here by midnight.
Are you? We have been. Do you see the clock up in the corner?
No, where is it?
It says 1 hour and 53 minutes. We have been sitting here waiting for you. Yeah, that's true. Ooh, Arthur's right. Maybe I'm going to add that to the.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, look what you've created, Devo.
Wilson, you can't. I know that you're tired. I know it's been a long couple of days. You can't come in here after making us wait for an hour.
Yeah, because I was just sitting around doing nothing for the last 35 minutes.
We were watching HQ. You weren't doing
70 degrees in that studio.
Ryan, quick takes on Brandon Staley before Breech gets back.
5 years ago, he was defensive coordinator, secondary guy at John Carroll, D3.
Oh, did you have to do a bunch of Brandon Staley stuff?
Yeah, we like one little thing on it. I don't know a lot about him. Not surprisingly, he was with Vic Fangio. I heard JJ mentioned on the show. But he did a great job coordinating for the defense. Again, it comes down to this. I don't know if he's good at telling people what to do. Dan Campbell, I'm excited about Dan Campbell. I was reading the ESPN story from Schefter, and this is what it said. The man knows nothing about X's and O's. He's known to be a good motivator. If I'm in a post-Matt Patricia world, let's try that out, see what happens. Matt Patricia knew a bunch about X's and O's, but apparently a horrible people person.
And to be clear, we did have a great time waiting on Wilson.
And
I need to use the bathroom and get ice. Should I do that now, or do you mean to wait till Breech gets back?
Ryan and I can kick it.
Yeah, why would you wait till Breech got back?
I don't know.
He's back.
I'll be right back.
So, Ryan, you'll be happy to know we already knocked out the emergency pod.
Oh, did you?
We won't be calling on you. We transitioned pretty seamlessly, I think, within about 60 seconds of the news. So that one is knocked out.
Breech, where's John Carroll University?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Is it really?
It is.
Look at that guy. That's where Brandon Staley was 5 years ago.
It is where he was. We brought that up. And you know who else went to John Carroll?
John Carroll.
He didn't, because the school's named after him. He was dead, Ryan. So that was actually a horrible answer. Would you be willing to get a John Carroll logo tattooed on yourself?
What is their mascot?
If Brandon Staley goes 16-0 in his first season.
I was going to say the arguably the most famous football-related graduate of John Carroll.
Oh, wait. Give me a hint. I feel like I know this.
He coached football.
I don't know. I thought it was a running back. Go ahead.
He is a coach.
I heard you. Who was it?
Don Shula.
McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels also, but Don Shula.
Josh McDaniels went there?
Josh McDaniels did go there.
That's the hint you just gave when you said Joshua?
No, he said Don Shula. He just flat out.
Dolphins coach Don Shula, not Joshua, but also Josh McDaniels.
I thought you gave a Joshua hint.
Hint was even funnier. Also, Greg Roman went to John Carroll.
It's like the William Mary of crappy small schools that don't have Super Bowl winning coaches.
And the most famous player you can think of, London Fletcher.
Oh, maybe I was thinking about London Fletcher. Where did who was the running back?
Texans general manager Nick Caserio went to John Carroll.
What's going on there? Who was the Bills running back that was so good for so long that went to that small school? I think he went to Coe College. Who went to Coe College?
I've never even heard of Coe College.
COE College. I can't reach my computer. Look that up real quick. Breech.
Fred Jackson.
Fred Jackson. Nailed it. Coe College. I can remember Coe College, but not Fred Jackson.
Ryan, what's the most, we were talking before, hence the Donald Brown, the most random early 2000s, mid 2000s running back you can think of?
All right, I'll do non-Steelers because I can do a million of those.
Did you guys hear that?
You're in class. Early 2000s. Let's see. That's hard.
I mean, I know you got names. We're eliminating like first rounders.
Well, like Willie Parker's my go-to. Undrafted free agent.
You mean Fast Willie Parker?
Fast Willie. Let's see. Early 2000s. I got to clear my head here. Oh, God, what was his name? Dang it. Went to Minnesota. Oh, he was a first-round pick, though, of the Patriots. He was never very good.
Maroney was tossed out.
Oh, nice. Lawrence. Let's see. I got to think of a team here. Who was the Chargers running back in the early 2000s?
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Like, who was behind him?
Michael Turner, we mentioned. Prisco's boy.
Yeah. I'm terrible at this game. There's some Eagles 2000s. Like Deuce Staley came to Pittsburgh in 2004.
That's how we kind of started it because we were talking about Deuce's candidacy for the Eagles head coaching job. So I tossed that question out there. We had Correll Buckholder, that's
a great one.
Very random one from Nebraska. Cecil Martin.
I don't even know who that is.
Probably would forget some of those.
Is that an Eagles guy?
Cecil Martin was Eagles guy. Reno Mahe.
That's a great one.
You know what's crazy about John Carroll?
No one.
I was just thinking about it. Well, I went to a Division III school, as I was telling Brinson, and when you go there, you find out these weird people that you never even knew. Like, I went to Hanover, which is this tiny little school in southern Indiana. You know who else went to Hanover?
Yeah, Mike Pence.
Mike Pence.
What else?
And you know who else went to Hanover?
John.
Woody Harrelson.
Oh yeah, great thing about not a great thing, an interesting thing about Woody Harrelson. I've talked to Diva about this.
What?
His dad was thought to be a serial killer.
That's believable.
He was rumored to be involved in the JFK assassination.
Right. He wasn't like chopping people up and eating them. He was like an assassin.
You mean like
Ted
Cruz?
Kennedy.
Like Ted Cruz's dad was rumored to be involved?
Yeah. Woody Harrelson is
Like that
father,
same way?
Ted Cruz.
Ryan, why don't you tell? So pre-show, sometimes, Ryan makes this 4-hour drive to Connecticut on a weekly basis, both ways, a lot of time for podcasts other than Pick Six because he's on it so often during the week. He's not going to hear himself talk again. Tell the people in the chat, and I'd like to know what else you guys listen to besides Pick Six when you're not listening to us. What are you listening to? But Ryan, what's on the playlist now?
I've actually thought about making a list of all the ranking the podcasts. So I listen to, I'm trying to think. There's so many. Let me pull them up. It's insane. Like I really need to write this down because I'm old. But
I'm going to say this real quick. Tom Brady went out in the field after all his post-game stuff. He's dressed in his impeccable Tom Brady outfit and went to hang out with Breeze and his kids. That tells me Breeze is retiring. Because the opposing quarterback does not go out and hang out in the field in the away stadium when you have to catch a bus and fly home. Unless that's happening.
Breech, you've got, weird talents. Do you lip reading? I don't know if that's one of them. Did he your thing?
The Winston one?
Yeah.
Wait, one of our commenters said he played basketball at Hanover. Of all the places in the entire world, how's that even possible?
There you go.
This is literally the smallest school in the world. I think there's like
Dominic Williams.
3,000 students.
Dominic Rhodes. There's a running back.
Dom Rhodes from the Colts. Yeah, but remember Dom Williams, who changed his name to Dominic Davis?
Who did he play for? The Chargers?
Texans.
No, I don't.
Who's the Hanover situation?
Rich just bragging about his college.
Well, we were talking about John Carroll, and I was saying that I went to a D3 school, Hanover, and I was naming the random. You find these little D3 schools, these little small schools, and they have the most random famous graduates. And Hanover has Mike Pence and Woody Harrelson and me and D-Mart 42.
Can D-Mart meet you and Brinson?
Oh, his grandpa went there. His grandpa. So maybe his grandpa was there when Mike Pence was there.
I thought Breech was bragging about his grandfather.
All right, let's go.
That's Wilson's.
Unbelievable. Wilson, I mean,
I got stuff to do. Look at me.
You're coming with disdain.
I'm not.
Are you playing it up to like try and like promote your brand or whatever? Like, what's going on?
What's my brand? Just out of curiosity.
We all know what your brand is.
Grumpy old man.
Oh, we're crushing that.
Yeah. Justin Fargas. Ooh, Justin Forsett.
Fargas is better.
Sure.
Forsett, we actually talked to at the Arizona Super Bowl.
Remember with the shower pill?
Justin Forsett said that? I don't remember that part.
That's what he was selling. He started a company called the Shower Pill or whatever.
Saddest memory for me. Not memory.
Is that better than my pillow?
Yeah. It like comes in a pill. Like, I don't know.
But do you remember what Rex Ryan showed up as? He was working for Pizza Hut, and he had a red challenge flag that was supposed to be like a penalty flag, but it was red because Pizza Hut's color. And he threw it on the set and made a joke. And he had just been hired by the Bills. I'm sure Bills fans like, oh my God.
Rex Ryan is one of only 6 coaches in NFL history who made it to the championship game in their first 2 seasons, which is what Matt LaFleur just did.
He's the only person to do it with Mark Sanchez as his quarterback, though.
First 2 seasons as a head coach or first 2 seasons with a team?
First 2 seasons as a head coach.
Oh, so
2009, 2010.
Yeah.
Get up.
6. Wait, well, let's do a quick trivia, then we'll get to the podcast.
Can't wait.
So Rex Ryan.
That's my Bart Scott.
Matt LaFleur.
Let me double check if Matt LaFleur was the 7th one to do it or the 6th one to do it. He's the 7th one. LaFleur's the 7th. So you got.
Oh yeah, you pulled it.
Lamar Jackson was like on that long. I didn't poop.
So you got Rex Ryan. That's 2 of the 7.
I heard the TV downstairs being really loud, so I went to check, and my wife was asleep on the couch.
Is that what you call it?
I don't think I'm going to poop.
I gotta turn the television off. I'll be right back.
I tell you if I
Do you
poop.
guys want to try and name all 7? You got 2 of the 7.
All right.
I would say you absolutely should be able to name 6 of the 7.
Sean McVay.
Sean McVay did not make it to the NFC title game in each of his first 2 seasons.
Oh, in each of his first 2.
First 2 years on the job.
Both
years, you made it to the title game.
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid did not.
No, Andy Reid didn't go to his 3rd year.
He made it 6.
One of them is more recent than Rex Ryan. I feel like you should get it. The commenters have already
Bill
gotten
O'Brien.
2.
Bill O'Brien.
You can look at the comments if you want.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin.
No.
Not Mike Tomlin.
John Harbaugh.
John Harbaugh is wrong.
Oh.
Close.
Jim Harbaugh.
There you
Oh. Harbaugh makes sense. Yeah.
All right. So Harbaugh, Rex Ryan, LaFleur, that's 3 of the 7.
Matt
The
Patricia.
The commenters have named 2. Should I give them? Should I give you the commenter
please.
ones?
Yes.
George Seifert, Barry Switzer.
Oh, 2 guys that followed Hall of Fame legends, right? That
That's
makes sense.
5 of the 7.
Okay.
You know what? We actually had this graphic up. I can't remember what the
Give us the decade for the last 2.
Oh, the last guy is like Stevenson.
The last guy, or the 6th, there are 2 more. One of them that you should get has his own video game. Madden is 6. The one you will not get is Don.
Give us the team and the decade.
Baltimore Colts, and his first name's Don.
Is it Stevenson?
That's how positive I am. You're not going to get it.
I saw the graphic. I can't remember the name. What is it?
McCafferty.
Oh, I remember.
And here's a fun fact for Debo. McCafferty was in the news this week because Doug Peterson got fired 3 years after winning a Super Bowl. That was the soonest any coach got fired after winning a Super Bowl since Don McCafferty.
That's certainly a fun fact for an Eagles fan.
That is kind of fun, right?
Hey,
He got fired in 1972 after winning a Super Bowl with the Colts.
I got a
in
fun fact for you, Breech. Guess what happened 3 years ago tomorrow?
Don't tell me. Am I going to cry?
You
Don't
probably
don't make me cry live on a podcast.
I had ACL surgery 3 years ago.
Oh, wow. Was it 3 years ago?
That's right. And now I'm stronger than ever. That's at a $6 million man.
You know what's crazy? I honestly thought you had ACL surgery before I met you, and all those stories were just like back in the day. I didn't know you had.
Thrilled to announce that Pete Prisco, when I said, can you name the 3 quarterbacks of the NFC and AFC title games, immediately gets Craig Morton, gets Montana, and then Nick Costas comes flying in with Jay Schroeder.
Jay Schrader.
Oh, you gave him that? You gave him that trivia?
Yeah, I threw it out. I forgot I'd asked him like an hour ago. I just didn't follow up, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, you got it right. Good job."
All right, I got a hard out at midnight. Let's do this.
I got a hard out at midnight. I showed up at
39 minutes. I'm not sure we can do it.
You showed up at 11:30. It's ridiculous.
I have
I just-
to go
I
do
just-
this.
Filled up my CBS Sports HQ cup.
I filled up my Brinson family. What we got tonight? A wood duck. A wood duck. You ever shot a wood duck before?
How much,
Liddell Betts is a good one.
how much wood could a wood duck if a wood duck could duck wood?
That's inappropriate. That's how Brinson got kicked off YouTube, was saying stuff like that.
Wood
I
duck.
don't see it, please, for the love of God.
I told Breech we wouldn't go live till 11:30. We need 42 more mid 2000 running backs. We'll get there.
Call me in the car then, because I'm peace out. Do the Debo peace out. That's my new thing.
Just bring some beer next week.
I'm not bringing beer to work. No one else has beer here. Just some butthole's going to show up once a weekend with a 6-pack of beer in his arm.
I would. I mean, obviously, I would do it, but
Ryan, I will have it shipped to your hotel. Just tell me which
I
hotel
know
you're
where
in.
to get beer, Breech.
Are you sure you do? 'Cause I don't think you do.
Mod. So, what's the hamster comment? All right, let's do this.
He's so bored with himself. He's like, let's do it. I can't stand
Where's Breech giggling at?
He's
The
like,
hamster comment that I know what it was, but I can't say it again if mods don't like it.
who doesn't like it?
Nothing.
Well, Charles is not a random running back. What was the hamster comment?
I said you got kicked off of YouTube.
Oh, for putting up pictures of hamster porn.
Yeah,
Do you not see porn?
it's not.
No, Zach Stacy's too late, I think, right? He'd be 2010s, wouldn't he?
Zach Stacy. I don't remember that name.
Played at Vanderbilt, drafted by the Rams. I kind of loved him. Wasn't good.
Noah Heron.
13, yeah, I don't think I
There's a
can.
random one. Noah Heron. That just came to me.
That guy's like a 6th or 7th round pick.
He was drafted by the Steelers. And he went to the Packers. That's right.
There you go. I remembered it.
I threw out Eric Shelton,
I don't know who that is. Who's that?
Louisville running back, drafted by the Panthers. Oh, you know who we didn't name? Oh my God. Fast Willie Parker.
And
You know what's ironic about what you just said, Brinson? Is that literally in the 6 minutes that you got out of your chair and weren't here, guess who Wilson named?
Oh.
Fast.
Now,
in North Carolina, you got dunked on.
From where?
Wait, no.
Wilson?
In Brinson's defense, Wilson, you didn't say Fast Willie Parker. You just said Willie Parker. I had to throw in the fast.
Now the question is, can Wilson, TVS's podcast starting now, can Wilson name my friend from Clinton, North Carolina?
Oh, it's Zubaz. Is that who it is?
Zeke
That
from
was close.
Zubaz. Isaiah Peed. Best Twitter handle ever, @IPeed.
That's great.
Get it?
No, I don't get it.
He tinkled. Somebody jumped in here and was like, did they finish the podcast? No, we haven't started the podcast, actually.
And Brinson, where did your boy Isaiah Peed go to college?
Cincinnati, son.
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
That would DVA. All right, let's go.
All right, let's any more running backs we want to get out on the table before we go?
No.
Let's see. I think we can start. We named 47 running backs.
Okay. All right, let's do the podcast. By the way, we've already done one podcast, right, Wilson?
Debo informed me. Thank you.
So we're gonna do the Dan Campbell emergency hire to the Lions. That'll be about 45 minutes. Then we'll fire up.
What you just said to me, we did the podcast. Yes, I do.
3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. It is now, as we have matriculated towards the evening. It's getting close to Monday, January 18th. That's the show. This is the recap. Sunday divisional round. You can go check out in your feed the Saturday divisional round recap. And of course, there are only 3 more football games left. It feels different than normal because usually about this time, I'm getting anxiety about getting ready for the Super Bowl, scheduling the trip, packing, think about what you're going to do, where you're going, you're booking travel. And now I'm just anxious about life because we're still in the middle of a pandemic. But we're here to recap these 2 games. The Chiefs advance over the Browns despite a Patrick Mahomes injury, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady potentially end Drew Brees' season and career at the same time with a victory in New Orleans. Incredible stuff. I don't know if the weekend was awesome, but we'll recap it anyway. John Breech, Ryan Wilson joining me. Wilson, you gave me a little eye roll when I said I don't know if the weekend was awesome. There's one upset and one really good game. I don't think the games were great.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. I was eye rolling retroactively after you mentioned you having anxiety about packing, because as Breech and I can attest, number 1, you show up to the airport 4 minutes for your flight. Number 2, you almost murdered Breech driving him to the airport when you drove on the side of the road, breaking every law known to man. I don't know what you're anxious about.
Granted, it was in Florida. I don't know what their vehicular laws are. So that would be the one state where everything he did might have been legal. I didn't feel like it was, though. And I had to cover my face like this. No one could see me.
So,
but in Brinson's defense, I did get to the airport. I did not miss my flight.
First of all, there are no laws in Florida.
It's true.
My father has told me for years, Florida drivers, no survivors. You hold your own in Florida. You do what you got to do. Second of all, yes, guilty as charged about getting to the airport late. That is a flaw of mine in my brain. What's that?
I'm working on it.
I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better. Probably not going to do a good job of getting better, but I'm trying. Same thing. I'm like, the podcast is in 5 minutes. I'll just walk upstairs in 3. Like, just walk upstairs now, dummy. Anyway, I like to get to the airport late, get a little rush, get through security like that. I'm an idiot like that. And finally, I was stunned that Breech was like worried and concerned about my decision to go off road in the rental car.
Why were you stunned?
I just thought, I didn't think Breech was that soft. That's pretty standard. I'm surprised at Breech.
What are you
doing? What?
We're in Kia Soul, the one the hamsters drive in the commercial. It's funny because we've been talking about hamsters in the pre-podcast. And you decided, hey, look, I know a secret route to the airport, and the secret route was driving on a road that's not a road.
I got on now, granted, in Florida on I-95 in Fort Lauderdale, driving on the side, the curb there is dangerous. Who knows what you could run over, but it's a rental car, so not my problem. I got off the edge and we rolled down to the exit ramp, and then I cut across and went downtown so we could get to the airport faster. We got there on time. I am not afraid to go off road in an automobile. So
this is also the same guy who yells at TSA agents for doing their job. So you have to understand where
that was not doing her job. She was harassing me. Look at me. I am clearly a model citizen.
As for the games, I will say this: that Browns Chiefs game was awesome.
That was incredible. That was incredible theater. That was the only. Well, the Bucs Saints game was really good too. It was close. It wasn't good.
It was no, that's right. I agree with that.
It was weird. It
was exciting, and it was the Chiefs game was great because of how it unfolded at the end. The Saints game was depressing because Drew Brees played like John Breech if you asked him to play quarterback on a moment's notice to win an NFC championship game.
Jameis Winston was what I would look like if you asked me to play quarterback on a moment's notice.
He looked like he was in tip-top shape. He looked great.
Maybe the Saints win with Jameis at quarterback. I don't know. Maybe we can argue about that in the podcast.
You want to start with the Saints and Chiefs?
Brinson is going to retire from driving, kind of like Breeze is probably going to retire.
All right. So let me ask you this: did we see was Drew Brees' last throw of his career an interception that hit Jared Cook in the face, popped up in the air, was grabbed by a Buccaneers player, Ryan?
Yeah, I think so. And it may not, sort of like the Steelers-Ben Roethlisberger conversation. I don't know if they're going to want him back. Like Jason Lockenford reported after the game that the Saints very much want to re-sign Jameis. They like the idea of having a pocket passer to go along with Taysom Hill and his sort of craziness. I think Taysom's probably the number one. That would be the indication based on who played this year when Drew Brees was hurt. Drew Brees, now more than ever, cannot throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field. Every throw was a Jeff Blake out of the television screen throw, whether it was a 5-yard screen or him, doing a crow hop to throw the ball 20 yards down the field. It was hard to watch.
He's toast.
And he was inaccurate.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like you want him, I think you have these guys like John Elway who go out on top with a Super Bowl win and walk away. Peyton Manning does it.
Yeah, Manning was slipping though.
Right, but I mean, like in 10 years, no one's gonna be like, "Oh, Peyton Manning, remember how bad he?" Like people just we've already started to kind of gloss over how bad he was.
But the thing is, you mentioned John Elway. I'll just say this quickly: John Elway, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, they never lost their arm strength. That was sort of the difference.
I mean, those Broncos teams were running teams. I mean, I'm not saying Elway wasn't a huge part, but they were running teams.
But also, let me just say real quick that no one is going to remember that his last game was a playoff loss or that his last throw was an interception. Because was Dan Marino his last? Did he lose a big? What was his last playoff game?
I don't remember. There you go. Point taken.
Yeah, I mean, we forget this stuff pretty fast.
Well, I think exactly.
Who won't forget it? Drew Brees.
But I think Marino's last game was a 38-3 loss. I was trying to.
I guess my question isn't should Drew Brees retire. It's like, do you think Drew Brees will be willing to walk away from a loaded Saints team under which he is under contract for 2021 for a lot of money?
Well, we say it every week. Jay Glazer isn't wrong. Jay Glazer reported before the game. But
wait, check that. Marino's last playoff game was a 62-7 loss. That's what I was thinking of. He lost 62-7. And it's like. All we talk about now is how great his career was. So 3 years.
Jaguars.
Exactly. So 3 years from now, no one's going to care that Drew Brees lost this game, especially he lost to Tom Brady. Dan Marino lost to Jay Fiedler. And he lost 62-7.
Marino there.
Old.
It was 99 season, so he would have been, 37 or something like that. Probably right. 38. He just turned 38. So
Drew Brees will care about that game. That's who will care. So
yeah, that's true.
We'll see. After the game, of course, he didn't answer the question. That was the first question I asked him in the press conference. No surprise there. But if you're Sean Payton, I think you're washing your hands of him. Internally, you're saying to yourself,
all right, let me rephrase it. If Drew Brees decides he wants to come back, do the Saints have him?
I'm saying no. I say, thank you for your service. We'd like you to retire. Basically what the Steelers did to Troy Polamalu. And I wish they would sort of do with Ben Roethlisberger.
I mean, the only reason I think you bring it back is, because of the contract. Like you're dead money anyway.
Well, this game is an example of why you don't bring him back. Not only throw 3 interceptions, 2 of them, we won't count the last one because Jared Cook's fault. But the other 2, the Buccaneers scored touchdowns right after that. That's two of Tampa's touchdowns. New Orleans defense actually played pretty well, but Breeze kept putting him in these impossible positions with these interceptions. They got 2 touchdowns off those Drew Brees interceptions, and you take those away, maybe New Orleans wins this game. If you get competent quarterback play, New Orleans maybe wins this game.
I will say this in Drew Brees' defense. Jared Cook absolutely screwed him with that stupid fumble midway through the third quarter. They were winning, they were driving, and that flipped everything, and then the interceptions, at least 2 came afterwards. And oh, by the way, another reason they lost, to sort of add on what Breech is saying, Taysom Hill didn't play. Taysom Hill gets 10 snaps a game. Number 2 comes in, svelte number 2. Jameis Winston comes in and makes that one play, but Taysom Hill is usually in for 10 to 15 plays doing all sorts of silliness that they weren't able to do without him.
Well, and the other thing too is like, you look, I don't think that, I sort of wonder, you know, we go back to like the Breeze stuff. Is Sean Payton maybe limited? And it's weird.
Yes. That's why Taysom Hill comes in to throw the ball down the field.
That's why Jameis Winston is throwing deep balls and trick plays.
Think about it this way. So we all know by now that was the Mr. Trubisky play that Javon Williams dropped last week. But if Drew Brees is lined up outside, how far is that ball going if he runs that trick play?
It's incomplete because it's underthrown by 8 yards.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're not here to
talk about already,
but like they didn't. You know, Kamara was targeted 6 times in the passing game, 3 catches, 20 yards. He ran the ball 18 times. I didn't think the Saints had a very good offensive game plan. I think the lack of Taysom Hill and the lack of Latavius Murray sort of compressed what they wanted to do on offense. And you know, I mean, in fairness to the Saints, you know, they were leading 20-13 in the third quarter, and it felt
if Jared Goff doesn't Jared Goff, that's awesome. If Jared Cook doesn't fumble that ball, they're going to score 3 or maybe even 7, and they're going to win the game. And no one's talking about Drew Brees, just like we've done for most of the last.
The Cook fumble led directly to the Fournette touchdown catch, right?
That's right. Yeah, the catch. That's right.
Yeah. So the Bucs scored the final 3 scores of the game, and the Saints couldn't muster enough at the end. It's crazy. Like, when have you ever seen the Saints in the last 20 years just unable to get going? Like, even this year, you would see Breeze in these primetime games where he would be like, all right, just start dinking and dunking it, and let's just get moving and no huddle. And they couldn't do anything.
Part of me feels like the second interception, I think, was the one to Alvin Kamara where Alvin Kamara didn't stop. But that's probably Alvin's fault. But I think that Drew Brees is now so reliant on throwing the ball before his receivers are out of the breaks, just because his arm strength is such what it is, that he's not able to throw balls with any velocity that, 5 years ago, he could wait a half a second. Now he's just he's basically Chad Pennington out there. Everything's a timing throw, even like a
dare you, sir.
Well, Chad Pennington, what's a stat that he could tell me? Never lost a playoff game, I think.
Well, and so I think, our end point here that maybe, and Brinson made it with the Ravens and Bills, that the Ravens were the better team. I don't think either of these teams played particularly well on offense, and that the Buccaneers just took the gifts that the Saints kept giving them, capitalized on them, and won the game. But it's not like they were the better team.
I agree. I think it was close, but I felt like
it was tied 20-all.
It's 2013 when they were driving and Jared Cook fumbled the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it was tied 20-all in the third quarter. I mean, it's a dogfight game. I also sort of look at the first 2 possessions, because we had the Buccaneers totaled 1 yard in their first 2 possessions, and they went 3 and out, 1 yard total, 3 plays, 7 yards, 3 plays, -6 yards, punted on both of them, obviously. And in both of those spots, the Saints got the ball once at Tampa Bay's 21, and then once at their own 30, and they came away with field goals on both of them. Like, if they score touchdowns there, they win this game, right? Maybe not.
What do you think, Breech?
If they come away with touchdowns,
if they're up 14-0 after 2 drives, aren't they?
Oh yeah, game over. It's game over, especially because at that point, you just said the Buccaneers went 3 and out in the first. So the Buccaneers had 0 offense, and if the Saints are up 14-0, they're not coming, because that's what happened the first 2 times they played. The Saints jumped out to 2 quick leads. I think the first game they were up 24-7 at one point, and then they were up 31-0 at halftime of that Week 9 game. They jumped up 14-0. You're the Buccaneers, and you're thinking, "Oh my God, here we go!" Like, they just have our number, and that's one of those games where you could totally have deflated them. But nope, they came away with field goals.
So they go up 6-0.
But wait, they lose Deontay Harris, which is also like Drew Brees' little outlet. And besides the fact that he had 2 huge punt returns,
he was crushed on special teams. Yep.
They had a punt return that was called back, a punt return for a touchdown that would have put them up 10-0 is called back. That's on that this callback for holding. Then they go down and get a second field goal. So it's 6-0. The Buccaneers go down and get a field goal of their own. They make it 6-3. At that point, the Saints quickly throw a terrible interception that is returned almost to the house. Although I guess, was it Breeze's fault? Oh no, that was the Michael Thomas one where Thomas was sort of going out and Breeze didn't put enough on it.
It was a terrible throw.
It's a bad throw.
It's a bad throw. It's like Drew Brees from the last
thrown and behind him. Other than that, it was perfect.
Right. And the Bucs go down to the Saints 3-yard line. They punch in for a touchdown, and suddenly it's 10-6. And this game that the Saints have dominated out of the gates and should be up, 14-3 worst case with the ball, is suddenly they're down 10-6. And it just took on a whole different sort of vibe. I mean, the initial feelings out portion of the program just felt like the Saints were going to dominate. And man, they did not. I didn't think that Tampa looked particularly good, though. I mean, they had 316 yards.
Saints defense is great. Marshawn Lattimore made a lot of great plays down the field.
He got body bagged by Mike Evans on that first touchdown there.
That's fine. I mean, it happens. But Anzalone did not have a good game. Ryan Jensen was a grown man out there all day long. And what's his name? Devin White.
Devin White's awesome.
His interception return with a stiff arm was one of the highlights of the weekend for me. That was fun to watch.
Devin White, the last person to talk to me before I fell face first on a scooter in Nashville.
That's a fun fact.
Fun fact.
For him, it is, not for Brinson.
Also, fun fact, Devin White loves horses.
That's also kind of a fun fact. Think about it.
He's in his second year now. This Bucs defense. I don't know if the Bucs are going to go win the Super Bowl this year. I mean, it's a tough task to beat both Aaron Rodgers and or Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. But this Bucs defense, you have to feel really good about the Bucs next year too, because Tom Brady doesn't look old. Plays well. Haven't been great against elite defenses, but he's throwing the ball well. They have tons of weapons. And Antoine Winfield and Devin White,
Antoine Winfield had a good game too.
Are studs. Those guys are going to be Pro Bowlers / All Pros.
By the way, people were angry on Twitter that Antoine Winfield didn't catch that interception. It was such a poorly thrown ball from Drew Brees. It was almost behind Antoine Winfield in the middle of the field. Like, he had no idea it was coming his way, and then he got the punch out on Jared Cook to sort of make up for it, quote unquote. But yeah, big game for him.
So yeah, I don't know if I look at the Buccaneers and think, man, this team is going to beat the Packers.
-4, I think is what it opened at, right?
That is correct.
I love me some Packers.
It's hard not to like the Packers. I think they'll be the public side.
Oh, really?
Because 3.5 now, William Hill.
Eric. Well, I'll say real quick. I was the one guy who said last week, who would we think the Packers would rather play? And I said they'd rather play the Saints because the Buccaneers beat them so bad. But
no, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think I'm on the Packers here.
Like we said, Aaron Rodgers gave it halftime. He legit set him out.
Like, Rodgers isn't going to have a multi-interception game again.
Mid-20s, possibility of snow. So,
Did Rodgers have like 3 or 4 pick sixes in his career, and he had one against the Buccaneers in that game? Got him back into it.
He said, I'm not throwing any more interceptions.
He threw 5 interceptions in the regular season. 2 of them were in that game. 40% of his interceptions were in that game. And they kind of went through receivers' hands like it was just all crazy. That's not going to happen again.
Hey, the Bucs could certainly win, but I'd like to, right now, as we sit here, I'm on the Packers train.
Yeah, the 3.5, it's begging you to take was 4, now 3.5, begging you to take the Buccaneers. I don't love betting against Tom Brady and that defense, though. I mean, the one thing about them,
I'm not sold on the defense. Why are you suddenly sold on the defense? Because they picked on an old man who can't throw the ball overhand.
Well, I mean, when you look at Green Bay, they want to run the ball. Tampa's very good against the run, although they allowed 80 yards in this matchup. And you can shift some safety coverage over to Devontae Adams, try and limit what he can do.
How'd that work yesterday?
Well, not well. The Bucs offense obviously is a lot better than the Rams offense, though.
The Bucs defense ain't.
No, the Rams have the best defense in football. Or do you think it's going to be a Packers walk the dog situation?
If they won by 10, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's not walking the dog. Walking the dog is 17+.
So then Wilson is like crawling with the dog.
Yeah. I'm
Like, open the back door and let the dog run around.
I'm moonwalking with the dog.
I will say that I think the Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones factor is kind of big, and there's some chatter in the
What's going on with this Leonard Fournette love? Everyone suddenly thinks Leonard Fournette's good. Ronald Jones, I thought, played pretty well.
I thought Fournette had a bad drop, but I thought he played pretty well. And
so you can watch us live on Twitch for these recaps. We'll have, oh my God, we're gonna have a Super Bowl recap show. Are they gonna make us do like a live show after the Super Bowl on Twitch immediately? We're gonna have to sweat the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl.
Are you announcing that right now?
I didn't even thought about that. I guarantee we're gonna have to do that. I thought it was gonna be like legs up, enjoying the Super Bowl, relaxing at my house. I'm gonna be on this
TBD, Debo says.
TBD. It's probably gonna happen.
Or like NBD. Am I right?
At any rate, you can run on the Packers. We saw Cam Akers do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Bucs will give him a game. If everybody's on the Packers, I'll probably take the Bucs.
I would love a good game. I don't want it to be a blowout. If it's like Browns Chiefs, I'll be excited.
Yeah. And Brady knows how to play, if it's frosty.
But do his teammates? That's the question.
Gronk does.
Gronk and AB do, but AB didn't even play much on Sunday night.
Mike Evans went to A&M, so no. Chris Godwin, he went to some crap school up in the Northwest. I don't know.
Northeast. Tyler Johnson went to Minnesota.
Yeah.
So maybe they're fine.
I think the Bucs are dangerous. I think they're live here. I wouldn't want to bet them. I think the Packers are probably the better team, and the Packers are sort of rolling right now.
All right, make up your mind.
Well, I've got a week to do it.
You just talked yourself out of the Packers into the Buccaneers, back to the Packers, and then flipped again. And I'm not even sure where you are right now. For all I know, you might be on the Rams, who aren't even in the playoffs anymore. I don't know what's going on. Which one? Who are you taking? Who's your early lean?
That's probably I should have gone downstairs and eaten that cookie.
The Colts still have a chance.
Honestly, the issue is that Wilson's like, the Packers are going to walk the dog on them. I wouldn't be surprised if they won by 10. It's like, damn, what? Like, what? Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they won by 4 points.
And real quick, someone asked in the chat, who has the advantage at kicking with Mason Crosby and Ryan Suckup? It is Mason Crosby. That is one advantage. If you kick in cold weather regularly, that is an absolute advantage, especially when it's going to be 24 degrees out. Mason Crosby has not missed a kick all year.
Hey, by the way, we didn't talk about this last night, Breech, but if you're a special teams coach and or holder and or kicker, if you botch the snap, do not throw the ball to the kicker. Just throw the ball on the ground. Throw
it up towards the end zone, especially on an extra point where the most you lose is 2 points, but you're probably not going to because no kick return team is going to return to 2 points.
Mason Crosby got hurt on that, number one. And number two, that's along the lines of a batted ball and the quarterback catches the ball.
And that was the other thing I was going to say is as long as Mason Crosby is 100% healthy, because you need your shoulder it cuts with you when you plant and kick. You don't want that hurting. So it's Crosby over Suckup.
Who do we think is the quarterback for the Saints in 2021?
Taysom Hill and Jameis.
That seems too easy.
Hey, Taysom Hill.
Watson.
Just Jameis.
Deshaun Watson, no, because he's going to the Steelers.
He's going to the 49ers.
You want to hear a Jets trade that we discussed today up here in Stanford for Deshaun Watson?
Sam Darnold and first-round picks?
Here's the trade. And I won't tell you who said it or where I came down on it.
If I go to Move the Sticks Twitter profile page, Daniel Jeremiah, and I see the same trade, I'm going to be very mad.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Do not go to Move the Sticks. Here's no, that's not it. Here's the trade. Jets, number 2 overall pick this year. 2nd round pick this year. 1st and 2nd next year. Mekhi Becton.
That's too much.
If I'm the Jets, I'm driving those guys over for.
That's too much.
What do you think, Breech? Too much?
If I'm the Jets, I stick with Darnold for a year. Draft an offensive lineman. What's his name? Panay.
Yeah.
Take Panay Sewell 2 overall. Now you have 2 offensive linemen to build around with him and Mekhi Becton. You give Sam Darnold a year. If he plays great. If not, you find a quarterback next year. So no, I do not do that.
Deshaun Watson.
You're basically giving up.
And they have a ton of cap space, by the way.
But you're giving up. Did you say Sam Darnold too?
You can throw him in there. I don't want him if you get into Deshaun Watson.
Right, but like
but just so I'm clear, I didn't come up with the trade. Eric Casillas came up with the trade details, and I decided whether to.
Wait, so 1st and 2nd the next 2 years.
Yep.
And Sam Darnold and Mekhi Becton. That's too much. That's too much. And what?
Okay. Yeah, that's right for Deshaun Watson.
That's too much.
Okay. I think if I'm the Jets, I do it because you have all that cap space.
If I'm the Texans and you offer me that, I'm all over it.
See, I don't know if I'm the Texans if I would take that.
I would take the upside on Darnold, the risk of that, along with all of those picks. So suddenly, if you're the Texans, well, you don't have a first round pick.
I don't have any cap. You have the number 2 overall pick that you traded away.
I say you don't have any. Like it's not like you have 2 and 3 all of a sudden. Like you would if you. So, but you have the the issue is you'd have to move. I don't know why this is a Texans podcast suddenly, but you'd have Diva break. You'd have to. That's too much. Mekhi Becton's a stud.
That's. I mean, it's got to cost you something to get him. That's sort of part of the deal.
I would do Mekhi Becton a first and a second for Deshaun.
They ain't doing that. He's to hang up the phone on.
Mekhi Becton. If you think, is Mekhi Becton definitely going below right now? Is what you know right now? Is he going below Penei Sewell? Penei, why did I pronounce it that way?
That's right, Penei. That's close. They're close. He has more.
Becton goes top 5 if he's redrafted.
He's played more college football. Penei only played one year.
Mekhi Becton's like a top 5 pick from this last class.
Who? Mekhi? Oh, yeah, it's fine.
Pretty valuable.
No, it's got to cost you something. That's the point. I'm fine if you don't like it, but I
think the point here is Deshaun Watson's not going to be playing for the Saints next year. That's where we started, and that's where I'm going to get us back to.
I wouldn't rule it out, but yeah, I think it probably makes sense that Herbert and Taysom Hill are the guys there in New Orleans when it comes to 2021. We saw Drew Brees allegedly say, "This is your team now."
Wait, what'd you say, Herbert?
Did I say Herbert?
Yeah, who'd you mean, Jameis?
Did I say Justin Herbert? What is wrong with me? I'm all over the place today.
Jameis Herbert.
Brinson is cut off for the next 6 podcasts.
I tell you, I shouldn't have eaten that little edible thing. Apparently it wasn't dessert. CBS sent it to me. I don't know. Anyway, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the AFC divisional round game. Okay, so the AFC divisional round game, the best game of the weekend, the Chiefs and the Browns. Patrick Mahomes got hurt. Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes both missed large chunks of the second half due to concussions. I saw Connor Orr.
Except the Ravens don't have Chad Henne.
They do not. Connor Orr wrote about this. I haven't read the article for Sports Illustrated, but I like the premise that he tweeted about, which is these two guys who are as big as you can get in terms of star power at the quarterback position, young star power, Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, two of the last 2 MVPs prior to whoever we assume Aaron Rodgers will be this year, missed like huge chunks, the entire fourth quarter, both of them, of their divisional games, and nobody really panicked. I mean, not panicked, but it was like, nope, that makes sense. Like, that's a pretty big progression that we've made as a football watching society, that we're not like, well, you got to put them out there. You're being soft. This is ridiculous. Like, they got concussions, can't play. I think that's kind of a big deal.
Oh, it's the rules now too. So that's the other thing.
I know.
Also,
I mean, like,
we talked about beforehand that I still don't think Mahomes necessarily got a concussion. I think that the Browns defender accidentally put him in the $1 million dream because he didn't bang his head. And then Jay Glazer, after the Saints Buccaneers game, reported that Mahomes had symptoms that was more in line with getting choked out versus a concussion, which is good news for Kansas City. But it was still crazy just to see that the whole thing. He couldn't get up. He was holding on to people. He's wobbling. It was like Brinson at the Super Bowl when he's had too much to drink. It was absolutely bonkers.
But here's the thing. So, right, I didn't think it was weird for me to figure out the concussion angle because he got hit on the shoulder. He went down. His head looked like it never actually hit the ground, and then he got rolled over. But can you get choked out in like a half a second? Because it was pretty quick.
Next time we hang out.
Yes.
Weird. I kept waiting as he was falling down to see his. I was like, all right, there's gonna be helmet to helmet. Nope. And then it was like, okay, there's gonna be that. You know that moment where like the head, because that's what happened to Lamar. His head hit the back of the turf. He was concussed, and it didn't do that. But man, when Mahomes got up, it was like, whoa, like.
So at first, I thought he maybe hurt his knee because he was so noodle-kneed, but he was just out.
He was woozy.
Woozy.
A
woozy.
I would anticipate if we're making a prediction now that Patrick Mahomes is fine to go for the game against the Bills next Sunday at 6:40 p.m. Eastern on CBS. As for the game itself, I mean, okay. We have this debate a lot of times with my friends. Would you rather like have this opportunity to like where you think you're going to win and win a huge game, or would you rather just get blown out?
No, here's the thing. They didn't run the ball a lot in the first half. The Browns didn't. It doesn't matter because if Rashard Higgins doesn't fumble the ball through the end zone, it's 16-10 with 147 to go. And maybe they come back down, the Chiefs do and get a field goal or whatever. But it's 16-10, and you get the ball to start the second half, and you can sort of lean on Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt then if you want to. They just got so unlucky with that Higgins thing. And I know Stefanski said that we teach not to do that. I understand why Higgins. You're out there you're a wide receiver trying to score. I know Breech is going to start complaining.
No, he only fumbled because he got hit in the helmet. He got jacked in the
Dan. The Chiefs tweeted out, "Dirty Dan causes another turnover."
He doesn't fumble if he doesn't take a helmet-to-helmet shot.
All
he got a Baker Mayfield. He got the Patrick Mahomes special where Mahomes had to leave the concussion. I'm surprised Rashard Higgins didn't have a concussion because he got a helmet-to-helmet shot.
How does Dan Sorensen make a tackle on that play? Just answer me that.
Look, if you watch the play in question, it's
karate kick.
Let me finish. Dan Soren, I never get to finish on this podcast. Dan Sorensen never hits the ball. He goes helmet to helmet, and Higgins. I mean, this is, we're gonna tweet about it because it's too deep to like discuss it. But like, there's definitely a cognitive and neurological connection between your hands and your brain. He gets blasted in the head and immediately just loses control of the ball.
I'll ask again. How was Dan Sorensen supposed to tackle?
With your face mask looking ahead, or just don't aim at their helmet. If you're going to go head first and you want to avoid a penalty, he avoided it no matter what. Don't aim at their head. I mean, he aimed at his head.
He won the game for him, probably, but that is the quintessential targeting hit.
It's not targeting, number one. Number two, there's no other way.
Absolutely targeting.
There's no other way to make a tackle in that situation.
What are you talking about? He launched with his head and had his head down and went after the helmet. There's a man with a ball holding the ball out there. Go get the ball, dude.
What are you talking? His options were to tackle him the way he did, or just let him score. Those were the options. So if those are the options, and you're Dan Sorensen, you make the tackle and leave it up to the officials to make the call. They didn't make the call, so that's not on him.
Okay.
What?
They should have called it. I mean, I blame the officials more than Sorensen.
Okay, well, that's where we need to start the conversation. The dude's out there making a tackle. He makes a play. He wasn't trying to hurt anyone. Rashard Higgins, if he doesn't.
That is everything about that. Look, it's like the Skolsky tackle in the Clemson-Ohio State game.
Dude, I heard the same thing you did. I'm not disputing that. My point is that Sorensen had no other option other than to not tackle him, given where he was and given where Rashard Higgins was.
Well, the refs threw a flag in the Tampa Bay-New Orleans game that potentially change the outcome of the game. It didn't.
We're not talking. What are you talking? We're not talking about that.
There's no consistency. That's the problem.
He's saying that same play was flagged in.
Okay,
not reviewable.
Can't help you. I can't.
The Browns get 15 yards, so they would.
Well, a tweet from LeBron James during the Buccaneers Saints game. Quote: "They didn't call that in our game, though."
Stick to basketball, LeBron. Next question.
Oh boy.
Why are you defending Dan Sorensen here? Weird spot.
Here's what's weird is that you guys, Kevin Stefanski, we teach our players don't do that. Rashard Higgins does it, and you guys look, it's not his fault that he got knocked into oblivion playing football, a tackle football game.
He shouldn't have reached out. He shouldn't have reached the ball. I agree with that.
And I'm happy with him doing it. I don't have any issue with that. He's trying to score. I get that. But I don't. Dan Sorensen's just trying to make a play. Didn't throw a flag, and I'm waiting for Breech, who is somehow suddenly more liberal than I am, to whinge about that ball going on the back of the end zone. Like that's his thing. That's what I'm angry about. Just wait.
Oh my God, you spent too much time with Jonathan Jones, haven't you? You're like, what's great? The fumble out of the back of the end zone. It's a great rule. If you don't like it, you don't like America. Whee!
I'm fine with the fumble out of the end zone rule. So there is, if Sorensen doesn't hit him head to head, it's a touchdown. There's no fumble. There's no controversy.
No, that's not true. He stuck the ball out, which he was not supposed to do.
Right.
His team scored a touchdown.
He scores he doesn't fumble. The helmet to helmet, getting concussed by another helmet is what caused the fumble. Watch the play, Ryan. I put it in Slack.
Breech.
As soon as his helmet hits Higgins' helmet, that's when he fumbles. At that instant.
Take 1 second and read what league average says, and then fire up the dunk machine. Thank you, league average.
As
Thank you.
Sam points out Wilson is in fine form tonight.
But also he's channeling his Prisco, which is not necessarily a compliment.
I just don't know what. Look, Daniel Sorensen had a play to make. Here's what's so if Daniel Sorensen just stands there and lets Rashard Higgins run in because he's fearful about hitting him head to head, what are you two numbnuts talking about now?
I'm not blaming Dan Sorensen. I'm blaming the referees. The same. I mean, Dan Sorensen. Look,
Ryan, so are you saying CBS and officiating expert Gene Sartori is wrong about?
You have listened to nothing that I've said. I said that Daniel Sorensen did exactly what he had to do. It is up to the officials to make the play call.
So should it have been a flag? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with that.
It's like talking to my 9-year-old.
We should have started there. We went way around in like four
Brett's
different.
such a rabble rouser. He doesn't like.
I mean, it was a key play in the game, and like we said, if they get here to, if Higgins scores there, it's 16-10, like we said, and so it is. If Browns fans want to blame someone, you blame the officiating for not throwing the flag.
I don't think Rashard Higgins fumbled.
Wilson does when he knows he's wrong. He creates a maw of just insane
projecting.
What?
You're projecting.
No, when you're wrong, you create a maw of logic. You're like I said, I'm talking about fourth graders here. What's happening?
What did the commenters just say? Who'd they agree with?
Wilson talking to walls.
For all we know, that's your burner account.
True. It does say Wilson. It does say Wilson 1974. That's the year you were born.
No, wasn't. Nice try.
I know. Anyway, do you cuss again?
No, I said no, it wasn't. Nice try though.
Okay. Anyway, you are turning into Prisco. What's hanging
out up here with these old timers.
Look, that was a huge play. It sucked for the Browns. At the end of the day, I would say this. The refs screwed up by not flagging it. The rule is stupid that if you fumble out of the back of the end zone, that's fine. You can disagree with that all you want.
It's not stupid.
Dan,
wait. I thought Breech disagreed. What's your rule? What's your feeling about the rule, Breech?
I don't think it's a stupid rule. It's a fine rule.
Oh, I'm fine with it. I don't care.
I hate the rule.
It's dumb, but I mean,
but I don't have a good alternative, to be honest.
That's the other thing. No, I'm sorry, Breech. I didn't mean to castigate you. I thought you were on team.
Well, I think most people are the proposal I hear on Twitter, and I got like people just tweeting me all day because I tweeted like the rule's fine. It was the refs that missed not throwing a flag. If Browns fans want to be mad at someone, be mad at the refs. And people are like, whoa. What do you mean the rule's fine? This rule sucks. Because there's definitely people who think this is the worst rule in the NFL. Twitter, that segment of Twitter, they showed up after this happened. And everybody's proposal is like rewarding the offense for fumbling out of the end zone. Like, why should the offense be rewarded? You fumble out of the end zone. And, if you fumble in bounds, then you get at that yard line. How come it should change in the end zone? Well, that's because the end zone is like sacred land in the NFL. If you go out of bounds, you get 0 points. If you go in the end zone, you get 6 points. If you get tackled in the end zone when you're at your own 1 yard line, you get a safety. You have to punt the ball to the other team. So there are punishments for being in the end zone. That's just how the NFL created the rules. And I think there's a dynamic that if you change this rule, you have to change the rule on the other side of the field. You can't just like pick and choose which ones you like.
We had this conversation. I feel like I was against Breech. For some, now I'm not. I apologize for.
Thanks, Wilson.
I think the rule's dumb, but I mean that it just goes back to like the McCourty brothers tweeted out. If Bill Belichick sees that, he always yells, "Don't stick the ball out."
Well, I mean,
Stefanski said the same.
Now, I do agree with that notion, and this is what Bill Belichick's the best at: is playing within the rules and figure out ways to minimize damage or maximize your efficiency based on the rules. So if you know that the rule is if you fumble into the end zone or out of the back of the end zone, or out of the side of the end zone, is that you lose possession of the football and the 6 points, then you should teach if you are the only team in football teaching everybody on your team not to reach out for it, then you are at a huge advantage because you're probably going to get like multiple turnovers over the course of a season because everyone else is diving for it. It sucks because in this specific case, I think if Higgins doesn't get hit in the head with helmet to helmet, I think he 100% gets the ball over the goal line. Like it was when they did the replay, it was like, oh man, we almost got a just the tip situation with Tony Romo. And I think even if he gets like a helmet to the sternum, I still think he holds on to it. I think he drops it because he got rocked in the head and it flipped it for the Browns. And look, the reality is the officials are utilizing this rule to make a change of possession. If you're going to do that, you need to be able to enforce the other rule that came into play, which is the helmet to helmet hit. And it's not like it was, a subjective discussion. It was clear and obvious, but they couldn't make a change because it's not reviewable. That's a problem in the NFL rulebook.
And I would agree with that. The one thing I'll say to that, Brinson, is that I understand why the NFL doesn't want to review helmet to helmet, because then you could potentially look at a situation where you're stopping the clock or you're stopping 20 times a half to review hits that might be helmet to helmet or targeting. But in a situation where a turnover is involved, I think that's where you could write in the rule book and say, all right, just like all turnovers are reviewable, you should be able to review any aspect of the turnover, including a targeting or helmet to helmet.
All right. So anyway, didn't count, obviously. That making matters worse. Mahomes comes down and gets the field goals 19-3 at the half instead of 16-10, or maybe 19-10. And then I don't remember how the half started for the Browns. I don't think they scored.
It was 19-3 after they got the field goal, and that was the
Right.
halftime score.
But I mean, the first series of the second half, I'm not sure what the Browns did. But of course,
Interception.
so Patrick Mahomes gets hurt.
But they missed the field goal. So
Right.
Baker throws the pick. It's like, well, this is over.
That's right. They get the field goal on that series. When
They
Mahomes
missed the field goal. It's like, oh, this
That's
is not
another
over. They're going to get a touchdown. This is back.
Buckner, he hasn't been great, Breech.
Well, I'll just say real quick, the Mahomes, that was, I think the Chiefs only 3 and out of the game was on that after the interception, the Baker interception. And like Brinson said, you're thinking, oh, the Chiefs are going to score a touchdown here. It's game over. It's going to be 26-3. Then boom, the Chiefs don't do anything. Now they have to settle for a field goal, 33 yards. And here is the numbers I have on Harrison Butker. It's the craziest thing in the entire world, maybe in kicking history. Harrison Butker is...
I thought his name was Bucker. I always call him Buckner.
It's just, but it's...
Bucker.
He is 48 of 56 on kicks of exactly 33 yards, because that's how long extra points are. So 48 of 56, 8 misses, that's 86%. 27 of 29, 93.1% on all other kicks. So it's like being around the extra point range is like messing with him. And so if you're Kansas City, that's worrisome, because extra points, you don't want your kicker missing those, and he can't even hit a 33-yard field goal now.
You snap it an extra yard back, you kick a 34-yarder.
Maybe that is the solution, Wilson.
By the way, you bring up something, Breech, on that injury that I forgot about till just now. Will you please quit running Patrick Mahomes so much? They were doing it earlier in the game. I didn't like it for the reasons that it eventually ended up being the problem in that 3rd and 1. I think it was a 3rd and 1 run. That's when he got hurt. And he didn't get it. It's a little RPO, I think, to the side. I would run him a lot less. Like he awkwardly got hurt last year on that QB sneak when his knee was dislocated or whatever. That happened.
Andy Reid for that. There was no reason to be running him there on the goal line.
He had the toe injury. He had a toe injury.
That's right. That's what it hit.
The injury where he got hurt and he got the $1 million dream put on him. He shouldn't have been running there because he was already dealing with the toe injury. You don't need your quarterback running any sort of option.
Before he ran that play, he had a long scramble to pick up a first down, and he looked like he was like power walking. He was like,
no, he didn't know how to slide because his foot was hurting. So yeah, that happened. Then Chad Henne came in, and I will say this. I don't know if you guys listened to the post-game press conference with Andy Reid, but the next to last possession of the game for the Chiefs was that god-awful arm punt interception into the end zone from Chad Henne. And I said that Andy Reid must have zero confidence going back out there with Chad Henne. Andy Reid said after the game that it was his fault. I don't know what the exact play call was, but he must have said throw it to the other team and let's see what happens. But he took all the blame, whether he's telling the truth or not. But I think that probably had something to do with the fact that he had a ton of confidence in Chad Henne on that last play.
So the end of game situation, and this is what kills you. If you're
wait. We'll time out. Let's rewind real quick, because after that missed field goal, the Browns got a touchdown, and why didn't Stefanski go for 2? That was the big talk.
Oh yeah,
it was 19-9. 2 points cuts it to 19-11, and you're playing Mahomes. You want to be down 1 score. You don't know how many times you're going to score a touchdown, and they didn't do that. So they kicked the extra point. They're down 19-10. If you're in the second half of a game of playing against a team that's probably going to outscore you, you want to keep piling on points. And especially if you can cut a 2-score game down to a 1-score game, that just seems like an obvious thing to do. And so they don't. It's 19-10. The Chiefs kick a field goal on their next possession. It's 22-10. The Browns get another touchdown. It's 22-17. If they had gone for 2 the first time, they could have maybe cut it to 22-19. And all of a sudden, they're playing for a field goal at the end of the game instead of a touchdown, and that changes everything, especially with Chad Henne as the Chiefs quarterback. So that was
that's a good segue to talk about what happened in the game, because Kevin Stefanski, look, he should be in the
I don't care. Are you talking about the punt?
Yes.
He went for it previously on fourth down, and they got it. 4th and 1, maybe 4th and short, maybe 1.5.
They went for a couple of fourth downs and got them all.
Before you talk about that 4th down play, I'll just follow up what Breech says. It's more infuriating with Kevin Stefanski, who is smart and knows what he's doing, when he does things like don't kick the 2-point conversion when you're supposed to, than Mike McCarthy, who has no idea what he's doing.
I didn't think the 2-point conversion was a huge deal.
It is, right?
They lost by 5.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I agree. What
I'm saying is that it could have been 22-19,
right,
when the Browns were driving at the end. And that changes when you only need a field goal instead of a touchdown. That changes your whole like psychological. Hey, we only need 30 yards. We don't have to drive 75 yards. Granted, Cody.
How would it have been 22-19?
Because
22-17, they didn't go for 2.
It would have been.
Only gotten one more point. It would have been 22-18.
It would have been 19-11 if they got the first 2-point conversion where they should have gone for it.
Yes.
So it was 19-3. They scored a touchdown. They should have gone for 2 to cut it to 19-11. And if they get that, they score another touchdown. That gives them 19. So that makes it 22-19.
If they do another touchdown and another 2-point conversion.
Right.
Well, that's sort of.
That's the point. I mean, that's why it's more frustrating with him. What do you mean? You're about to yell at him about a 4th and 8 that you can argue that
9, but you're asking like for. I mean, converting 2-point conversions isn't easy.
That's right, but the first one should have been obvious because it cuts a 2-score game to 1 score. Your offense, that's your first touchdown. You haven't scored anything all day. You need to be in a 1-score game, not a 2-score game. And the thing is, the difference between 19-9 and 19-10 is minimal, but a difference between 19-10 and 19-11 is gigantic. So if you're Stefanski,
10 minutes left in the third quarter. I didn't think it was that big a deal.
But you've only scored 1 touchdown the entire game. You have no idea how many times you're going to score. You might only get 1 more score.
But
you sound like Mike Tomlin, by the way.
In the whole point of the analytics, like ultimately he was like the way it played out, he was correct. Like he took.
No, it wasn't. It could have been down to 2. It was down to 5.
No hypothetical situation. The way it played out, the Chiefs got a field goal added on.
Would you rather be down 5 or down 2? Touchdowns. Would you rather be down 5 or down 2? That's the question.
What?
Brinson, so if you're down 22, so the Chiefs get the field goal, would you rather be down by 12 points or 11 points?
I mean, you would always rather be down by less, first of all.
Well, no, okay. Well, I mean, but 11 and 10 is not a huge difference. 12 and 11 is, because at 12 you need 2 touchdowns. 12 and at 11 you just need a touchdown.
11 and 12, sure.
It's a huge difference, and that's where
10 minutes left in the third quarter, you're trying to project a little too much, I think.
I would check that. I don't know at the top of my head. I would imagine the analytics say go for 2 there.
The analytics say go for 2, and Kevin Stefanski didn't. That's really surprising.
That's why my whole point. That's why I say it's more frustrating that he didn't do it. When he doesn't go for 1.
The problem is not that they didn't go for 2. They were down 5 points in the fourth quarter.
That is the problem. They didn't go for 2.
And they could have been down 3.
Right.
If you get both 2-point conversions, you're asking. I feel like
it's a 50-50 opportunity when you to get in from 1 yard.
Getting both of them automatically. Like, do you know how math works?
You know how many getting if you don't try.
At worst case scenario, they miss them both, and it's 22-15. You're down 7. Like you're still within a touchdown.
When winning and losing a regulation, that is a big freaking difference. That's the whole reason you go.
Okay, that's fine, Brinson. And they missed the first one. They missed the first one, and they kick an extra point on the second one, and it's 22-16, and you win with a touchdown. Like the math still works to getting you where you were. You go for 2 on the first touchdown.
I don't remember seeing y'all like fired up about this in the moment at all.
I was.
Okay.
I wasn't even here.
We didn't have a third quarter chat going.
I mean, I'll look and see.
I'm sort of surprised you're Mike Tomlin pushing back on this.
You're like posting pictures like white Mike Vick in the third quarter. I don't know what to tell you.
And that was the fourth quarter.
It was at 6:40. It's like in the middle, like right. Anyway.
No, Chad Henne was running 17.9 miles an hour. That was the Mike Vick thing.
Anyway, the way that the fourth quarter played out, I find if you want to argue that Stefanski should have gone, I didn't think that they needed to go. I think that there's so much time left in the game that by forcing the 2-point conversion, to me, you are putting yourself in a position where you're chasing points if you don't get it.
What's the disadvantage of missing, though? You're down 19-9?
instead of 19-10.
Right.
Right. And so what's the difference?
Well, if you're down 19-9, right?
Yeah.
And what happens if the Chiefs kick 2 field goals? What's the score?
If they kick 2 field goals, you're talking about 2 more possessions.
What
That's
is the
2
score
more
if they
Browns.
kick 2 more field goals?
And the Browns don't score anything?
The Browns don't score anything. Which
That's 25-10.
No.
And 25-9 is still a 2-score game.
Oh my God, this has been a dunk fest. Breech has been dunking on people left and right all day today, and he's in it with a
Right. 19-10. So it's 19-9 if you miss.
And if you kick 2 field goals, it's 25-9. It's still a 2-score game.
There's some math I'm missing here. Whatever. I don't care. Anyway, I want to talk about the fourth quarter. This is the dumbest argument.
Let's get to the 4th down.
The problem isn't the 4th down. The problem is the things leading up to the 4th down.
All right.
Kevin Stefanski got the ball and decided to be like, it felt like he was like, we're going to have one shot and we're going to go for it now. We're going to be really conservative and run the ball. And then he used a timeout and then he punted on 4th and 9. All those things. And look, maybe it goes back to the 2-point conversion and that he just didn't know what he was doing in the game. He's a great play caller. He's a great pre-gamer. He's a great coach. But in terms of the management of the clock and the management of the timeouts, that was a disaster down the stretch. You cannot challenge that Tyreek Hill catch.
That was awful.
Awful.
And they burned
because it did look like he might have dropped it, but he clearly pinned it against his leg. And I feel like it's probably a decent chance it was a frustration challenge too, because he had missed a challenge he would have won earlier in the game.
in the first half. You're exactly right. I made a note of that challenge that whoever's job it was to buzz him down didn't tell him to throw the flag, and it was not a catch. It may have been DeMarcus Robinson. I can't remember who didn't catch it. But to the Andy Reid's credit, they got up and snapped it and moved on. And I think you're right. And Kevin Stefanski's like, yeah, let's see what happens this time.
Yeah. All that was bad. And then it's 4th and 9. And there's I think there was, I'll tell you, because
it was 4 and change. I think it was 4 and change, something like that.
So the Chiefs got it with 4:09. No, 4:09 on the clock. You have one timeout. You have the 2-minute warning. It's okay to punt there. If you
did you mention the timeout they burned on that previous possession that they could have used?
Well, so the previous possession was the challenge. Then that possession,
the punt possession, Baker had to call a timeout too, I think.
He called a timeout as the play clock was winding down. That
right.
was an absolutely disastrous timeout.
They could have used that timeout. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so they punt with 4:09 left. I mean, I get if you're gonna. The whole thing was set up poorly. It wasn't. It was like
if you don't punt, the game's over. Like you have to punt. I understand that.
Well, so a couple of things here. One, if you think you're going to punt, don't use the timeout.
Well,
take the 5 yards if you think you're going to punt.
Yeah.
No, you can't use the timeout. You can't use the timeout. Conversely, if you are down to one timeout and you're trailing by 5 points, and you figure if you punt, the worst case scenario that could unfold is that they kick a field goal and you're down 8. Go for it, because
the worst case scenario is that they just do what they did, run out the clock.
Well, I'm saying like worst case scenario outside of I'm trying to say.
I will say in Kevin Stefanski, everything you just said is exactly right, and it was idiotic. But they had to get 5 yards on 3rd and 10 or whatever it was, 3rd and 11. I think it was 3rd and 11. I said you got to get 5 yards to go for it, and they got 3. I didn't mind.
Not a great pass from Baker.
What's that?
Not a great pass from Baker. Kareem Hunt, bobble.
It's okay. The play call was fine. The pass wasn't perfect. I thought Baker actually played pretty well. I'll give him credit for that. But
second downs were awful.
The Chiefs made a great tackle, and they didn't work out on that play. But yeah, the things leading up to it clearly are the reasons.
Here on 4th and 9 is the reason I would have gone for it. And
interesting.
So 4th and 1, they go for it, right? You are conceding as Kevin Stefanski that, hey, if they stop us, we have to play defense right now and hold them to a field goal or hold them to nothing. So you've already had that thought in your head.
Right. If when I say worst case, obviously the worst case is they score a touchdown and run out the clock. I'm saying the worst case on the spectrum of how do we win this game? Like the worst case scenario you can deal with to win the game is give up a field goal.
Right. And Stefanski obviously said we can punt because we can stop Chad Henne. I don't think he would have punted if it was Patrick Mahomes. I think he put a little more thought into it and said, all right, we're going to punt here. Chad Henne, we can stop him. But 4th and 9, you're at your own 32. I go for it because your defense has to make a stop no matter what, whether that's after you punt or whether that's at the 32-yard line. So the defense already knows that. And if you go for it on 4th and 9 and you don't get it, you're in a spot where the Chiefs can only get 2 first downs, because if they get to the 22 to the 12, and so they can run mathematically, they can only run so much time off the clock. So you can't end the game.
Plus, and I agree, Breech, we talked about this a little bit on the pregame stuff, but like mentally, if you've done this for a long time and if you coach against Andy Reid, you have to realize his psychology is, okay, look, if we get a field goal, we're up 8 and we just play some defense and don't let them score, don't let them get a 2-point conversion, we win this game. So not that you want to give him the ball closer, but you don't want to give him the ball down at his own 20. That is begging him to melt the clock.
And worst case, so if they can only get 2 first, so at most they're probably running 6 plays, which you can run off 240 seconds, but minus 80 seconds because you have the timeout and the 2-minute warning. So now that's down to 160 seconds, and this was 4:19 left. So that means the Chiefs can only take the clock to like a minute, whatever. So you're going to have a minute left, but you have to only the field goal, obviously, like Brinson was saying, because if they score a touchdown, game's over no matter what. So like just from the Chiefs can only run so much time off the clock because they only have so much room to work with from 32 yards away from the end zone. It just seemed like it would have made more sense.
I think the difference, and you said this, Breech, I think it was Chad Henne and not Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, I'm willing to entertain that. I just feel like they probably, especially after he had just thrown that arm punt into the end zone.
That was the worst throw of all
that may
time.
have affected Stefanski's decision.
I mean, that game felt like it was over, and then Henne just gave it right back to him.
I want to know what the play call was at unless Andy Reid's just taking the bullet for him.
You have to, if you're the Browns, you just have to realize that you're the Browns and you're in the divisional round, and Mahomes been knocked out. What's that?
I thought Baker played well.
Baker played awesome. Shout out Mike Tanier. He's thrashing me for saying Baker played well the last few weeks. I said Baker's good.
No, the last 2 weeks he played well, and I've been dogging him at points this season. He stepped up, made big time throws in the fourth quarter against the Steelers, made big time throws all day against the Chiefs. But I will say this, and Andy Reid said this in the press conference. He said, "Yeah, we're going for it. We're not here. That's like I used to play golf with all these old timers, and you get to a par 5 and they hit the first shot close to the water, or just like they're like 200 yards from the water because I didn't drive all this way to lay up. I'm going for it, baby. Whatever happens, happens. Get to 3 and 2 on a par 5, and that's what Andy Reid's doing.
Well, and look, Andy Reid's play. The other thing too is, and this is the difference, is like Kevin Stefanski, first year head coach. That's a tough spot. It's his second playoff game. His first playoff game, he got up 28-0 on the Steelers.
Well, no, he didn't. Prefer did.
Right. He went in there, but I'm saying but nobody was coaching. They're just like stuff's just happening. They're getting up 28-0. So this is his first playoff game on the sidelines. You have to have concerns about that. You are calling plays. There's a lot on your plate. But I think you need to realize that when you get that ball with 5 minutes or whatever is on the clock, that you've got to start getting the ball past midfield. Make throws. Baker's playing. You got your quarterbacks playing well. Clock is your friend. You have 1 timeout or 2 timeouts left, 2 timeouts before they used it on that after the 4th down. Get the ball to midfield. Let Baker make some throws. Move the ball and apply some pressure to the Chiefs. Because if you score, you're asking Chad Henne, you're down 5. Yeah, presumably you'll go for 2 after you score.
Right? Did you think that Chad Henne should have not Chad Henne, he could have, I guess, that the Packers the Chiefs should have punted
on the 4th down?
Yeah.
No, hell no.
Well, when they line up in shotgun on 4th down,
the beauty was that he snapped it, that Andy Reid had him snap it before 1 second. That was
first of all, I said, okay, you just run a QB sneak if you're going to go for it. That's fine. My first thing was, okay, you can punt it if you don't have faith in Chad Henne after the interception. Although, as you sort of alluded to, he hit 17.98 miles an hour on that 13-yard run on 3rd down. Faster than any Browns player that was chasing.
That's such a dagger for the Browns.
You're not under center, so I was like, okay, you have to call a timeout if they don't jump off sides and punt it. You can't be shotgun and not go for it. And he just big old elephant balls Andy Reid calls that play with Tyreek Hill, which in the end looked like a pretty simple play.
It was too easy. And that's the thing is it didn't need to be so often these coaches overcomplicate it. It's like, all right, let's call timeout. Run it down to 1 second. Call timeout. Line up in jumbo. Pound the ball up the middle, and it's just like if you get you're basically banking on who gets a break in terms of the block and who wins at the physicality line of scrimmage. Andy Reid did the smart thing, like snap the ball quick when they're not defense isn't ready. Get the ball to your hands. Get it in Patrick Mahomes or get it in Tyreek Hill's hands, and it's an easy first down. And the game was over.
But you still have I agree with Wilson. In my head at the time, I'm like they have to QB sneak this or they punt. Like it's still Chad Henne. If it's Patrick Mahomes, you are going for this, no doubt. This is no one second guessing you. But at the time, we're all thinking he's either going to QB sneak, but then Henne's in shotgun. So now it's like QB sneaks out. They're going to take this down to 1 second. They're going to call a timeout, go to the sideline, and try and figure this out. And
that's the beauty of it.
And that's clearly what the Browns thought. It wasn't just us. The Browns thought that, and then to snap it with 2 seconds on the play clock.
Like I was sitting there, I was like, all right, yeah, get done with it. We'll see what you do after the timeout. And then all of a sudden he snaps it. You're like, and it's just out of his hands before that. Like that's the beauty of it.
I cannot believe he was a shotgun like that. That was one of the most shocking things I've seen all weekend after that interception he threw the series before.
But like from a game theory what is the percentage, the average completion percentage of that throw?
To Tyreek Hill, with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill is probably 95%.
No, dude. It's Chad Henne turning to his right and throwing it to Tyreek Hill at the line of scrimmage.
Fair enough. Then why don't we see that every week?
Because coaches are scared. Mike Vrabel punted on 4th and 2 at the Ravens 40.
How ironic is it that the two leading candidates for NFL Coach Hunger Games were the biggest pansies on that, and Andy Reid, Mr. Kool-Aid, is like, I'm going for it.
I think I cite Greg Rosenthal a lot. He's a smart football guy, but he's like the last 5 years has just been validation of everything Andy Reid does. Something, I'm paraphrasing that, but it's true. Like Andy Reid, way ahead of the curve on passing the ball early downs in his career. People killed him for it in Philadelphia.
Well, I think him winning the Super Bowl gives him more leeway. I'm sure Debo.
No, but he was way ahead of the curve on college concepts too. People were
I'm sure Debo could tell stories about how Eagles fans had enough of him passing the ball and refusing to run the ball and all that.
We're not talking about the Eagles anymore.
Okay.
We're talking about the Eagles in the offseason when they're relevant again.
The Eagles.
The play worked, and I just went back and watched it because
so wide open.
And he was so wide open because MJ Stewart saw the snap. He's the Browns cornerback and assumed it was a run. He was the guy who was on Tyreek. He looked in like they have to be running. There's no way they're throwing the ball. Right. And in that instant, Tyreek Hill so fast, he was already had a yard of separation before the pass had even be thrown. And then boom. I mean, it was
and
easy.
Tyreek actually caught the ball behind the line of scrimmage, right?
Yeah.
And then he fell forward. But again,
like a yard behind the
no one was there. The only drama was you can't drop it.
Right. You just have. I mean, look, if Tyreek Hill drops it, you typically like, right, Browns, good job, go get 50. Go get 50 yards and win the game.
No, we're yelling about why didn't they just sort of sneak up the middle? That's what.
Or why didn't they just punt it?
Yeah.
The move is what Andy Reid did. It's genius.
If he
how many coaches call a pass on 4th and 4 inches with their backup quarterback in the game with a minute and 20 or whatever left? Like, yeah, Ryan, you got the number.
How many times do you catch that ball, Breech?
Me? How many times do I catch it?
Yeah.
Or how many times do I throw?
I mean, it's a 5-yard pass.
Okay, well, to Breech's point, does Mitch Trubisky come in and make that throw to Allen Robinson on 4th in a critical situation?
Andy Reid is his coach, yes.
Jim Nagy's off the tree.
All you do is you catch, snap the ball, turn, and throw.
No, we saw the play, but to Breech's point, no one else is doing it.
Exactly. No one's calling that play. No one's going for it on 4th and inches in their own territory in a 5-point game with a minute 17 left.
But that's my point. It's not a execution thing. That pass is a 90% or higher in terms of completion rate.
We're agreeing with you. It's not an execution thing. No one's running it. It doesn't matter what the conversion numbers are because no other coach has the elephant onions that Ryan was talking about to go for it on 4th and inches from their own 48-yard line, knowing if they fail, the Browns have to go 48 yards to win the game.
And they snapped it. It's beautiful. They snapped it with 4 seconds left on the clock. Roll them out a little bit. It's tough. It's it's not a freebie, but golly.
And just watch MJ Stewart, the corner on Tyreek Hill. He looks in expecting the run. Like they have to be running, and Tyreek's already on his route. And
I don't think he's actually expecting the run. I'm watching it right now. I think it's, let's see. MJ Stewart, Tyreek jukes him inside, I think. And MJ Stewart's trying to get his hands on Tyreek and can't. This whole defense is surprised they're snapping it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that definitely.
Because I probably thought they were going to call timeout.
Myles Garrett is off the. Oh man, Tyreek just cooks him. You know what that play is? That play is one of. So I would guess Andy Reid has this vault of like, I don't know, 60 to 100, 60, 75, 100 plays for 2-point conversions. It's like gotta have them, and that's one of them. Where you line up Kelsey, you line up three wide on the right side, and you have the guys clear out, and then Tyreek cuts inside, and it's just, if you roll your quarterback out in a soft roll and just dump it off, it's a free 2 points.
Is the Bills game open to 3.5? Is that right?
Yeah.
And we're all assuming that Patrick Mahomes plays.
Mahomes is playing.
I think I'm going to go on the Bills. I think I'm going to the Bills bandwagon. I'm going to stay on it, baby. I love Josh Allen.
It's hard to bet against the Bills. Hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes too.
Yeah, but I mean,
I would like to know how gimpy Patrick Mahomes is.
I don't think it's going to be the choke out. I think it's going to be the turf toe. I think that's probably maybe something to look out for Patrick Mahomes. He'll be fine, but I will say this: if it's a battle of backup quarterbacks, I'll take Chad Henne over Matt Barkley, but hopefully we won't get to that.
Yeah, I mean, if Chad Henne starts, if you like the Bills at all, take the Bills now at +3 because
just wait till Patrick Mahomes is announced and then it'll go up.
It won't go up that much.
Why not?
I mean, how high? You like the Bills right now?
Yeah, but I don't know if a lot of people. I mean,
how high do you think the Bills are going to get?
5.5.
Maybe. I don't think the Bills are going to higher than 5.
I'd wait.
I think people really like the Bills.
They're going to go the other way though.
Well, and we were talking about during the pre-chat that it's going to be cold and wet in Kansas City, the worst weather possible. You're talking like 38, 39, not cold enough to snow. So it's going to be like sleet, rain.
Hey, guess where Josh Allen plays and guess where he played in college?
Southern California?
Wyoming.
He was born in the dark. I was going to do a Bane, but I decided not to. Sorry.
Wyoming.
Wilson, I think I'm on your... I'm agreeing with you. I kind of like the Bills here. Not just to cover, maybe to pull off the upset.
Good. And if they do, we're calling blank and yelling at him about Sean McDermott.
Oh my God. Has anybody ever been, is that the worst, like anybody's ever been wrong on this podcast? Is like thinking Sean McDermott's not a good coach?
Definitely top 5.
There's something else he said that he didn't like that blew up in his face too.
Oh, he said Aaron Rodgers was washed.
Oh, that's what it was.
Aaron Rodgers wasn't a top 10 quarterback.
The two Super Bowl teams, perhaps, are the two teams he was dumping on.
Angriest is pointing out in the chat, and I agree with this. If for some reason it's really nasty weather, I've been saying this for 2 weeks, and I'm not trying to pick against the Bills. I'm not trying to crap on the Bills. The Bills are a great team. Josh Allen has been trying to turn the ball over.
Yeah, fair
2
enough.
weeks in a big spot.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
If
he's trying, but the teams they played have. Although, did Phillip Rivers have an interception?
Nope, Phillip Rivers played perfect. Lamar Jackson had a horrible turnover. Yeah. All right, that's it. That's it. We've been doing it for this 3. We've been sitting here.
You gotta do winners and losers. Sorry, buddy.
What's that?
Gotta do winners and losers first.
Oh, oy vey. All right, winners and losers. Who wants to go first?
Breech, go ahead. I got to think about it.
For winners, I will take Andy Reid. Andy Reid off the bye.
I know.
Andy Reid off the bye. You can't lose. Andy Reid, it doesn't matter. He had a bye week to think about what happened.
Off the bye.
If he loses Patrick Mahomes for the entire second half, he had a bye week to figure out. What'd you say?
I say he didn't cover off the bye.
He won.
He won, though.
The whole point is Andy Reid covers off the bye.
No, the whole point is that he never loses off the bye.
25-5, I think. Is that what the number is?
You ruined my winner. Anyway, he had a backup quarterback, 4th and inches. We just rehashed it. He got it. He had the elephant onions that Ryan was talking about. Good on Andy Reid for having faith in his offensive system, knowing that anyone could run it. Even Chad Henne, who had never thrown a playoff pass in his 12-year career. And Chad Henne, who we didn't bring up while talking about it, had a 13-yard run on 3rd and 14 when the past 5 years combined, he had 1 total rushing yard. 1.
That was my whole thesis of the thing. Maybe I forgot to mention it, but the Browns they punted and they had them pin it's 3rd and 14. At that point, you're thinking, okay, they're going to run something.
So the reason they was 3rd and 14 because he got sacked.
Yes.
On 2nd and 8 or whatever it was, and you're why are you running the ball?
But you're thinking, why are you passing the ball?
Yeah, why aren't you running the ball?
Okay, so my winner has been switched to Andy Reid and Chad Henne.
Okay,
but you're thinking at 3rd and 14, it's okay, we're getting the ball back. It's just a matter of where and how much time is left. Right. And then Henne breaks contain and is rolling out. You're like, oh my god, Henne! No. I mean, I don't even care if the Browns win, I guess, but I was invested as just a football watcher. I wanted the Browns to have a shot. I wanted them to get the ball back, and he's just wide open, sprinting through the open field. Oh,
so playing off that, my winner, Cleveland Browns fans. I know you lost against the Chiefs, but you spanked the Steelers. You made it to the playoffs. You're no longer a laughingstock. You have a great head coach. You need to tidy up the in-game management in the halves. But Baker played well. You got to get a little better on defense, but you have Myles Garrett. You'll get Odell Beckham back. I mean, there are a lot of things. That offensive line is legit. You got one of the best running backs in the game. It goes on and on. So, yeah, you lost this game, but you were pretty close to going to the AFC Championship game for the first time since 1989, I think. I think that's the last time they went. That was the John Elway game.
Fires?
Yeah, I believe that was 89. What?
Played the Broncos.
It doesn't feel like 2017 with the Jaguars.
Oh, my gosh. Hugh Jackson must be like, see, this is all because of me. He drafted Baker.
Hugh Jackson starting a I Saved the Browns podcast.
He started. He drafted Baker. But anyway, way to go, Browns fans. I think you will finish better than the Steelers next year in the division.
All right. So you guys both with that game. I guess I'll go to Leonard Fournette could be a winner. Jameis Winston could be a winner. I will go with Tom Brady, though. He's now in the AFC. Dude, he left New England. The Buccaneers didn't win the division. They got swept by the Saints. They didn't beat a single good defense all year. And then he comes into New Orleans. His team makes a couple of picks on busted-ass old Drew Brees. And Brady is going back. He's going to the NFC Championship game in his first year in the NFC after spending 20 years in the AFC, where he went to 9 Super Bowls and won 6 of them. And he is now 1 game away from being the only quarterback in NFL history to start a Super Bowl in his home stadium. Normally, you would say, all right, obviously, the Packers are going to blow out the Buccaneers. Do you want to bet against Tom Brady? He didn't even play well. 18 or 33 for 199 yards, 2 touchdowns. The defense stepped up, made plays. Leonard Fournette was there. Ronald Jones was running well. Brady had a rushing touchdown too. I mean, whatever. Do you want to bet against Tom Brady? Betting against Tom Brady has made a lot of people poor, and I don't want to do it. So I'm not sure I can get behind it. Brady just might go win the damn Super Bowl in his home stadium. He just might do it in his first year in Tampa Bay. This is insane. Imagine how chapped Bill Belichick's ass is right now, seeing Tom Brady make this deep playoff run.
Breech losers.
I have to go first.
I can go first if you want.
I'll just take the obvious one.
If you went first in winners, you're supposed to go first.
All right, I'll do it. Drew Brees. He's retiring, and I feel bad doing it. I don't want him to go out as a loser, but Drew Brees, you throw 3 interceptions. It's got to be Drew Brees. You threw 3 interceptions in this must-win game that your team probably wins if you don't throw 3 interceptions. 2 of the Buccaneers touchdowns came off of Drew Brees interceptions. You take those away. I know they had another ugly
final pass of his career might be a pick.
Final pass of his career might be a pick. And the final game of his career, 3 interceptions. The old hat trick. So Drew Brees.
Bad hat trick. You could have gone with Jared Cook.
Andy was at the Superdome, which is where he built his legacy, and he has to run out of there with no fans looking at him. And Drew Brees is like
you don't want any fans looking at you after that performance.
But there's no fans. And he's like pointing to the sky. It's like his kids who like sadly walked out of the luxury suite because of how bad their dad played. Oh, this is a disaster for Drew Brees all around. On the way
you could have gone with Jared Cook. Jared Cook had a big part in that loss. But yeah.
That's what you get for signing Jared Cook.
I'm going to go with, to sort of follow up on what Brinson said a minute ago, the big losers today, the old New England Patriots.
What?
Because they ain't got no Tom Brady. And Jared Stidham and Brian Hoyer and Cam Newton apparently don't equal one Tom Brady. I don't know. Like, for real, I don't know if the Patriots are a 10-win team with Tom Brady this year. I mean, they're not beating the Bills, but they're not having a losing season, which they haven't had since, I think, Belichick's first year in New England. So the question that we had in August, who's going to benefit more? Tom Brady. Belichick, at least this year, needed Tom Brady more than Tom Brady needed Bill Belichick. So I'm sure the Patriots, all that cap room and the 15th overall pick will be fine. But I would imagine Patriots fans would have preferred to have Tom Brady out there as opposed to, the quarterbacks they had to go with.
Cam Newton.
So I'm trying to find a loser here. It's not easy. There's only 2 games, right? I would like to point out that Jarvis Landry had 10 targets, 7 catches, 20 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Michael Thomas had 0 catches.
I think what Jarvis Landry did is harder.
Jarvis had 2 drops, 1 that should have been a pick 6.
Yes.
So,
but my real loser, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Why?
Darrell Williams was awesome.
The bigger loser, I think, is Le'Veon Bell.
Huh?
Le'Veon Bell was healthy and didn't do doo-doo.
Fine, Le'Veon Bell if you want.
Yeah, I like that.
Drafting a running back in the first round.
Okay, well, there you go.
Edwards-Helaire, it's great. It's fine. It's awesome. I think he's a great player. I justify the draft pick, but Damian Williams comes in when they don't have a running back and dominates for them last year. He should have been the Super Bowl MVP, as he told us on Twitch previously. Darrell Williams comes in the AFC divisional game and is awesome. He's catching balls. He's running through the tackles. Like, you don't need to draft a first round pick. Like, you don't need to draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I don't know if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the loser so much as like the Chiefs draft plan. But
I think the Williams brothers are the Williamses are the winners because they're basically Mr. January/February. They just show up when it's go time.
Yeah. Or maybe the loser is Michael Thomas. I don't know. It's hard to find a loser after.
Well, look, they signed Le'Veon Bell. No one thought that he was going to be the guy that we saw.
Well, no one thinks the Browns are losers. They made it this far. They did a great job.
Well, Kevin Stefanski's play calling at the end could be problematic. I mean,
all right, yeah, we'll give Kevin. All right, that's fine.
The officials for blowing the Higgins thing.
All right, fine. Thank you.
Michael Thomas was complaining all year, and all of a sudden he sent that tweet a couple days ago that I just put in Slack, and you just don't know.
I'll give it to Kevin Stefanski. That's my real loser because, well, I think he's awesome. I think he's a great coach. I think he's going to do great work for the Browns. But as I forgot that because he was out of COVID last week. It's your first playoff game, and you lay a huge egg with the ball, and maybe you defy analytics a little bit, and all of a sudden you lose 22-17. You get 22 points out of the Chiefs in a divisional road game
without Patrick Mahomes for a half,
and you miss. Yeah, I mean, like you're probably thinking about this one for a couple months, right?
Yeah.
Browns fans,
and Al's going to feel on his own coaching staff knowing that his special teams coach has more playoff wins than he does.
I mean, you're like, the Browns like, things are great. Like, we're building a great foundation. It's like, you may have let one slip away here because the Browns could have beaten the Bills. Well, then you're in the Super Bowl, and who the hell knows,
Oh, stop it.
Nick Chubb couldn't run wild on Buffalo and Green Bay?
Oh, he couldn't.
Okay. All right. That's the podcast. Thanks to everybody for hanging out on Twitch and YouTube. Of course, the Browns overachieved. They did a great job. We kept Ryan Wilson up exactly as late as we hoped to. Breech gave me an over-under of 12:41 a.m.
We have been going at this for 3.5 hours, Brinson. My goodness.
Yeah, you guys.
My back is sore.
How's your neck?
School tomorrow. There's no school till February. Oh, God. Let's get out of here. See you guys.